Okay, so good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the pre-session Q&A of session 17. I hope you had a good week and ready for the next dose of SAC. So let's see if we have any questions and then we will go into today's main topic after the Q&A. Go back.
Is this Q&A? Because I thought it's the main class. We start at 8:30, right?
Yes, it is the main class, but since I did not join, I could not join at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
No, actually, yeah, you're right. So I could not join. I'll just take just a couple of minutes more and then we will see if there are any questions and then we'll get to the main class. Yeah, I know. The class timing has changed, so I was supposed to join at 8 o'clock, but unfortunately, due to network issue, I was not able to join. So let's see if we have any Q&A. 17. Okay, so we have one question. So from Jyoti, while doing hands-on, I realized each the R script is executed, the words in bold keep changing. Why does this happen? And in real world scenario, if the outcome of R script keeps changing, how is it reliable? Yeah, so the R script should not change, by the way. If your data is changing behind the scenes, of course, the R script, when you come to the story and when you execute the story the very next day and the data got refreshed last night with your batch job, then of course you will have the R script values also most likely changing. And see, in R script, in the word cloud, what we did, we gave two inputs. One was what are the words made up of, which are customers, and then what is the frequency made up of, which is your measure. So that's what we used. So if that changes, the measure value changes, or the customers, new customers get added because of the data load, then yes, R script will change. Otherwise, if the data is static, then the R script value should also stay as static. It should not change because your underlying data is not changing, and R script is based on the model, the data in the model. So of course, it should not change. Okay.
Hi, Debanshu, this is Jyoti.
Yes, Jyoti.
But every time, even if we just click on execute, like once I executed and again I click on execute, the output changes. Like the one word that is in bold, it changes to the other word. I haven't done like any uploads. There were no uploads, no extra data that was added or subtracted. Nothing is changed. All that I did was like executed it twice.
And the data got changed.
Yes.
I also observed the same thing and it was about 4 days ago, so I don't think the data is changing that much, but every time I executed it, the bold name change.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Data is not changing, the bold name is changing.
And what about the size?
Yeah, the word in bold, the size and the word in the bold itself, it changes.
So the biggest word is changing. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
That means it's showing that the customer is different each time.
Yes.
Okay. We can definitely look at that. That if that is happening, then definitely there is something in the R script which we have to check, but it should not happen. Ideally, if your biggest customer, as per the unit sold or your customer meetings or whatever you have chosen as the frequency, if the data is not changing, definitely it should not change. We can look at it for sure. If there is time at the end for the post Q&A, we can look at it. If I go into the debugging right now, it might eat into the class timing. So this definitely we look into it, but at the end. But that's good to know. I did not know. I did not observe that. I did not realize that. Rather, I will. We'll look at it at the end.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Debanshu.
No, that's a good point. To be debugged in the post. Okay. All right. So I will now go into the main class. So I'm again very sorry. Today I could not join for the pre-session Q&A because of the network issues I was facing, and we don't have recording. We'll not have recording for pre-session Q&A this time, but we will definitely have the post-session Q&A. Okay. So let's go into the main class. So let me open the OneNote. Okay, and duplicate this, and then we open the OneNote. Okay, perfect. So let me make it bigger. We are in session 17. Okay. We'll start and view now. Okay. So today's agenda was basically showing you the live connectivity as discussed in the last class, but I worked with GetTrained and we are facing a CORS issue, cross object resource sharing, which is usually used for live data connectivity. We are facing an issue there due to an SSL secured storage because we are using the HTTPS port. So we are facing some issues there. So we are still not able to resolve it. GetTrained team is looking into it. So that's why, unfortunately, I'll not be able to show the live data connectivity today. But don't worry, once that issue is resolved, which hopefully should be done by either today or tomorrow, I will show you the live data connectivity with HANA calculation views. I've already created a HANA calculation view based on AC.A in the S4 HANA's HANA DB. So we will use that, and then I will show you the connectivity, and then BW query as well. But you'll have to pardon me for today. Today I won't be able to do that because of that issue. So today the agenda is basically to now zoom in a little bit on the tables, the charts, and the geomaps. We have already touched upon these, but there are certain features and functionalities for a table, for a chart, and for a geomap widget, which you should be aware of, which are frequently used in customer scenarios, and you will be using it very, very often when you will go for a real-time project. So that's why those important features and functionalities you should be aware about. So that's what we'll go into today. And then tomorrow we will go into the blending, data blending, which is also one of the important topics, and few other topics like best practices, performance management, and all the other story related things. And starting next week, we are going into planning. We are starting the planning. So this week is the end of the story design. So next week we will full-fledged go into planning, and that's where we'll start our CDS views, S4 CDS views, and then import the data for GL hierarchy and then transaction data and go from there. Okay. And then again, as I told you that live data connectivity, as soon as that issue is resolved, maybe in pre-session Q&A or post-session, I'll take one of that because I will not take the main class as that because I have a lot of topics to cover for the main class. So for either pre-session Q&A or post-session Q&A, I'm going to cover that live data connectivity once the issue is resolved. Okay. All right, guys. So I will request everyone to be on mute. I'm going to do that as well, just to be sure. But if you have any questions, please take down those questions, like note down those questions. Hold on to that, and then we'll come to that in the post-session Q&A. All right. So let's go through the refresher. What did we discuss in the last class? In the last class, what we discussed was the calculations in SAC. So there are different types of calculations in SAC story. What are those calculations? And when I'm talking about calculation, I'm talking about story level calculation because we are into story design. So this is story level calculation we are talking about. So there are two types of calculations in SAC. We have the simple calculations, which do not require the builder panel. which you will usually use for advanced calculation. Builder panel is used for advanced calculation and reusable calculations. But if you just want a simple calculation based on a particular widget, say for example, if we have a table widget and if you want to just do a subtraction between two columns, that's a very simple calculation. You do not require to go to the builder panel and then create the reusable calculation. You can directly do it on the widget itself by selecting the two columns and then right clicking and saying add client calculation and then do the subtraction. So those are simple calculation category and that can be done using widgets directly. It needs a formula bar to be displayed because when you will try to edit the simple calculation, you will not be able to see anything unless you enable the formula bar. Once you have the formula bar displayed on the story on the top, then you will be able to see it is doing C2 minus D2 or C2 divided by D2 or whatever calculations you have. And that is basically taking the headers into consideration. The C, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, all the alphabets are there on the matrix on the top. And then we have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 at the column level, and then at the row level we have the alphabet. So it's basically that matrix. We call it headers, and that headers, once you enable, you will also be able to see which column is C, which column is D, etc. And that's what we did in our last session. So that is what is needed to see the simple calculation formula and to edit the formula if you want to. The advanced calculation, on the other hand, needs builder panel. Using the builder panel. And how you do you enable builder panel? By right hand side panel. So there is a left hand side panel and right hand side panel. So once you click on right hand side panel, you will see builder and your styling panel, both are there. So you need to create those advanced calculations in the builder panel. And once these advanced calculations are created, you can reuse that across different widgets throughout all the pages of the story. So then it becomes a story level calculation, not a widget level calculation. Simple calculations are usually done directly on the widget, but advanced calculations are done at a story level. That means you can use that across different widgets, across different pages of the story. So those are the types of calculations in SAC which we discussed. What are the different categories in which the advanced calculations fall into? Once you are in the builder panel, and once you click on create calculation, you will see the drop down for all these different types of advanced calculations. What are those? First one is calculated measure, which means if you want a percentage calculation or a division or an if condition, and then you are based on that if condition, you want to do some arithmetic mathematical calculations, then you should go for calculated measure, which is specifically used for mathematical calculation. And as we saw in our previous sessions, you can also use calculation input control. We used it for discounted order value. So there was a slider which was given from 0 to 50 for the discount percentage. And based on that slider, that value was taken and then it was used inside the calculation in the calculated measure. That is also possible, and that's how you can make it dynamic in nature. So that is what is calculated measure for mathematical arithmetic calculations, and can also be made dynamic using calculation input control. Restricted measure is the second type. When you want to restrict a data value, like when you want to restrict a measure based on one or more dimensions. What was the example we used? We used the Canadian order value. So order value, but only for Canada. So that was the restriction on that measure, which gave me only the Canadian order values. Then the third one is difference from. This needs time dimension. Okay, so there is a time granularity which is associated here. And what are we doing here? We are calculating the measure value difference for a date compared to another date. So say, for example, in the input control in the story, you have chosen 2018. And you want to see that what is the difference in my total order value of 2018 compared to the another date, maybe in the past, maybe last quarter, maybe last year. So that difference between the measure values for the date in your widget versus any other date, that is your difference from. So what is the difference from the other date for the measure value? So date dimension is involved here, the difference from. Then we saw aggregation. Aggregation is basically average, min, max, count, etc. If you want those type of aggregations, you don't want the default sum, then you should go for aggregation. And also conditions can be applied. So it can be a conditional aggregation as well. You can say that only if this condition is satisfied, then you do the aggregation. Otherwise, you don't do the aggregation. So those type of conditions can also be applied. Then the fifth one is date difference. This is same as difference from. Here also we have the date dimension which comes into picture, but there is no measure here. It is just a difference between two time intervals in months, in days, in years. So that depends on the granularity you choose. But this is basically the difference between two dates. So that's your date difference. Then we have the dimension to measure. If you want to convert a string, which is a dimension value, to a numeric value, for example, fiscal period. Fiscal period can be 01, 02, 03. It is actually not a measure, but it has numbers in it. It will not have alphabets in it. So if you have this type of dimensions or these types of dimension, then you can convert them into numeric format. And then if you want to do anything, you can do some calculations and further processing with that. But that is possible to convert string into numeric. So that is what we call dimension to measure. So we are converting a dimension value to a measure value. But the prerequisite is there should not be alphabets. If there are alphabets in that particular dimension, then the measure value will be blank for that. And then seventh one is running total. This is a running calculation based on the dimensions present in the widget. So whatever dimensions you have brought into the widget, based on that, a running calculation will be performed, whether it's going to be running average, running maximum, running minimum, or any other running calculation which are allowed in from that list. You can easily enable that. And finally, we have currency conversion. We did not see currency conversion in our example, in our story. The reason is because the currency conversion was not enabled at the model level. So if you want to see currency conversion as one of the advanced calculation type, then you have to enable the currency conversion in the model. We will see that in the planning session. We will enable the currency conversion there, and there you will be able to see how the exchange rates are taken into considerations and how currency conversion is configured. So don't worry, that will be done. But for now, just remember this, that currency conversion is also part of the advanced calculation, but the prerequisite is model has to be enabled for currency conversion. So these are the types of advanced calculations. Then we also have calculated dimensions. So far, we have been talking about calculated measures, but we can also have calculated dimensions. What are the two subcategories there? Calculated dimension and measure-based dimension. Calculated dimension is basically using concatenating of two or more dimensions, which we saw. Like, for example, you had the product type and then you have the customer segment. So we concatenated both of them, and then based on that, the measure value was shown to us. Now, instead of two separate columns, we concatenated and merged those two columns into one dimension, and that was used as the basis for the story. So here, when you do the concatenation, it's not just dimension IDs, but you can also concatenate dimension properties, because product type was not a dimension in our model. Product type was a property of product dimension. Similarly, the customer segment is a property of customer dimension. So we used the dimension and concatenated them and saw the values based on that concatenated value. And how do you call upon a property? In that formula editor where you are concatenating, you will call upon the property of a dimension by typing a dot. If you put dot and then put control space, you will see that it will give you the list of properties for that particular dimension. The first one is ID, but then we also have the other properties if it is defined. If you have defined some property, then you can call upon those properties and use that as well in the calculated dimension. And the final one is measure-based dimension. I was not able to cover this in the main class, but this is covered in the post-session Q&A. There was a question from, I think, Srilata, and I forgot about this in the main class. So she reminded me that there is one more category, and we created a measure-based dimension where it's a new dimension we created. So when do you go for measure-based dimension? What is the business scenario? The business scenario is if you don't have a particular dimension, but you need that kind of grouping of your measures based on that dimension, then you can create a new dimension which will be based on the value ranges of a measure. Okay, I'm just going to quickly show you that what we did, because this was not covered in the main class. Please look at the post-session Q&A recording of the previous session. You will get to know this, but I'm just going to show you what we did. So if I go to my favorites, okay, annotation, I'll just enable. Okay, so if you go to the folder, and there, if you go to the stories, we were working with GeoStory. So we'll open that. And to make it easy to remember, we had created different tabs or different pages rather, different pages in the story for each of these different type of calculations. So if you see, we have 13 pages here, okay? And this is the view mode, by the way. It opened in view mode. As you can see, this is view mode. Also on the URL, you can see that mode equals to view. So you can also change mode equals to edit here directly by typing it here in the URL. That's also possible. And then you can also, or otherwise you can just click on the edit. But I'm just telling you that in the URL also, you can do a lot of things. And one of the things is to change the mode of the story. So if you click, and by the way, we have these different pages and you can navigate it one by one like this. 1 of 13, then you go for 2 of 13. It will take some time. Then you go for 3 of 13. Then again, it will take some time. So this can be a little time consuming. And this is the R visualizations, what Jyoti was talking about. 4 of 13, 5 of 13. But if you have multiple pages, say for example, we have 20, 25 pages, and you want to navigate to the last page, for example, right? So how do you do that? So, and you are in view mode, you are not in edit mode, you are in view mode, for example. So what you will do is you will go to display and you will enable the tab bar. When you enable the tab bar, all the different pages will come as different tabs. Okay. And then you have this navigation arrow where in one shot it will go to this set of pages. So next set of pages will come. So you see, you can easily go to the last page very easily instead of doing from here. If you are in view mode, okay, all this I'm talking about in view mode. So this is what you can do, and you can hide the tab bar or you can enable the tab bar, which will give you the different pages in a tabular format instead of this arrow and next page by page. So that's one easy way to go to the last page. And dimension to measure, we did, where did we do the measure based dimension? Let me see. Yeah, measure based dimension. There you go. So measure based dimension, what we did was we basically created a new dimension, which was your high and low. As you can see, the values high and low. So units per sold, per customer segment, and high-low volume. This dimension, high-low volume, is not there in my model, but I created this as a measure-based dimension. So if I quickly go to the edit mode now, because I have to see the definition. So I'll quickly go to the edit mode. And as soon as I click on the edit mode, you can see that in the URL, the mode became edit. So that's the way you can check the mode of the particular story. So now if you click on this widget, right hand side panel, enable that, and then you will see in the color. So measure is unit sold, simple measure. Dimension is a customer segment, which is a property of my customer. And then color is a high-low volume based on unit sold. This is your measure-based dimension. So if you click on this and go to edit calculation, you will see what is the configuration. So what we did was, we said we want a measure-based dimension, and the name we will give is high-low volume based on unit sold. Okay, same description. Then you have to choose a measure, which measure it should be based on. So we chose unit sold, but you can choose all from the list of all the other measures, including the calculated measures. So whatever calculations you have done, if you want to use that, then you can use that as well. I use the direct measure from the model, unit sold. And then you can create those members of this new dimension. Because this new dimension did not exist, you are creating this dimension. So you will decide what will be the members, okay, of this dimension. So we created two members, low and high. Low member will have the measure value. Which measure? Unit sold. So low value will have unit sold less than 100,000. So if it is less than 100,000 units, the dimension member will be low. And if my unit sold is greater than equal to 100,000, then I will categorize that as high, and this new dimension will have high as its member. So you see, this dimension is connected to a measure. Based on the range of values for the measure, the member of that dimension is created. That's why it is called measure-based dimension. So again, please keep the business scenarios in mind. Always think about a business scenario when you are thinking about a type of calculation. When will you use which one? So the business scenario for measure-based dimension is, the client wants to categorize your data in a format which does not exist as a dimension in my model. You have to create a new dimension, and based on the measure ranges, you will create the members of the dimension. So this is going to be a new dimension and a new way to group your measures, low and high. And then you have to provide the dimension context, which is very important. So dimension context is based on what dimension the aggregation will happen for the unit sold. Because unit sold can happen as your customer unit sold, your customer segment wise unit sold, your product type wise unit sold. So those are different dimension context. So you have to define that dimension context. Here it was version and customer segment. And then you can also put some filters. If you want some filters to be applied here, you can put filters as well. What this enabled us is a new dimension, which I have put in here, which gave us the color. So low means it is less than 100,000, 88,000 is brown color, and all the greater than 100,000 is this. You can also put it in the dimension. So if you want to drag it here, and then you can remove the customer segment, okay, just to keep it simple. So you see, so we have high and low. This is a new dimension type, and this dimension is based on the measure value. If it is more than 100,000, it is categorized as high. If it is less than 100,000, it is categorized as low. So this is called measure-based dimension. So that's what we did. Okay, we'll go back. You can also have multiple dimensions. There is no stopping you. So you have the high, and under high you have direct and wholesale, and then you have low. Under that you only have retail. So all those things you can do. And if you want the color as well, so you can drag this in the color as well. So that way you will have this. So that is what is called measure-based dimension. That's what we discussed. So those are the types of advanced calculations you can do. So please remember this. For date, if there's a question, by the way, guys, next week there will be a quiz on the story design. So that's why I'm emphasizing all these points because they will come in the quiz next week. So if the question is that what are the advanced calculations which deals with date dimension or which needs date dimension as mandatory dimension, then what's going to be the answer? Two of them, difference from and date difference, because these two needs date dimension mandatorily. Which type of calculation will give you the difference between two dates? That's going to be the date difference. Which type of calculation you can use the calculation input control? So that is going to be your calculated measure. Also, you can have the measure based dimension where you can use calculation input control. So all those type of business scenario based questions are going to come in the quiz next week. So that's why please remember that you will have to understand a business scenario for each of these advanced calculations. Okay. So that's what we discussed. So those were the points I wanted to highlight today. Okay, so now let's go into the main session content. Today we are going to see three things. First, we are going to see configuring different features in a table widget. Then we will see configuring different features in a chart widget. And then we will see some miscellaneous information like restoring deleted widgets. If by mistake you deleted a widget, then how do you restore that? And was this different in a classic story versus a new story or not? That we will check. And then we will have post-session Q&A. All right. Tables. So we already have dealt with tables. This is not new. We know that there is a widget called a table widget, right? So if you go into SAC, where is my table widget? So if you go into any of the previous ones, dimension to measure or any other, this is a simple table widget. Okay. And these are the headers. You see the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then A, B, C, D. These are all your different headers. And then this is a simple table widget with measures. And then we have the customer segment as the column, which is a dimension. And then we have date dimension in the rows, which has hierarchy as well. So this is very simple table widget. Today we are going to see what are the most frequently used features on the table widget, because table widget can give us a lot of advanced functionalities and features, which if you enable, then it will look better or it will give value to the client on the data on which he or she is visualizing. So that's what we will see a little bit today. So tables can be used to view and analyze data. We all know that. Tables can be added to either responsive page or canvas page. So both you can add table widget. No issues there. For tables that are based on models, the set of features and options available will depend on the model type. So there will be features which will be only enabled when planning is enabled in the model. And there will be features which will be there only for analytic model, and for those planning functionalities will not be there because it is an analytic model. So based on the type of model, the features might differ. Like for example, only the features and options that are supported by the model type planning is visible. Like for example, you can enter data in a table. If the planning is enabled, then you can actually enter data and publish the data, which is going to write the data back into the model. So those type of functionalities and features are available on a table if your model is a planning model. But if your model is an analytic model, then it is a read-only table. It will not be a read-write table. It will be read-only. That means you cannot enter data. So that's one example. And there are more examples like that. So just remember that the features which you are seeing on a table widget will differ based on the model type. Okay, that's what it says. For example, tables based on planning will allow the users to make changes to the model by entering the data, or use version management, or use allocations. But if the table is based on an analytic model, then these features might not be available, and your table will also be read-only table. It will just show the data to you. It will not let you edit the data or enter any new data. When you add a table, then a grid is created. We all know that Excel sheet like grid is created with basic dimensions and categories. And there are two panels which gets activated: builder panel and styling panel. This is common for all widget. So what they are talking about is that if on this table, you go to the right hand side, then it will be builder panel will be enabled. This is your builder panel, and then on the right hand side on the painter icon, this is your styling panel where you will find styling related options, like for example your templates, your styling rules, your fonts, your borders, your background color, etc. So those styling options will be there in the styling panel, and the configuration options will be there in the builder panel, like what rows you want, what columns you want, what filters you need, so on and so forth. So those are the two panels which are frequently used, not just for tables, it applies for everything. So in the builder panel, you will have, as they have highlighted, you have styling. You also have link dimensions. So if you have more than one model in your story, which is basically blending, right? We will discuss blending tomorrow. So you can link the dimensions between two models so that you are telling SAC how to combine these two models. So that's where linking of dimensions will come into play, and that we will discuss tomorrow. Then you can change the primary model. If you want to change your model, suppose you are dealing with only test models so far, and then now you have to switch it back to the real model, then you can easily do that by changing the primary model. That might disturb your current charts and the tables and all your key figures and what dimensions and measures, etc. You might have to redo few things here and there, but if it's not a very complex story with custom calculations and the scripting enabled in it, so all those, if it's not there, if it's a simple story, then impact will be minimal. But if you have heavy customizations and scripting and etc., then it will be it might get impacted. So you just have to be a little careful about that. And then you can have things like swapping the axis will, like for example, columns to rows, rows to columns. So those can be very easily done, like pivoting, right? So you can pivot those by swapping the axis. And then you can change the table type. There are two table types. One is your cross tab. Cross tab table type is the default, where you will have your rows and columns. That is a cross tab. But you can also have a forecast table layout as well, which again we will discuss in the planning. So forecast table layout will give you the feature that your actuals and your plan data can be combined into one table format. Like for example, you are in the middle of the month, so your actuals will only be there till day before today, like yesterday, and you want that your plan should start from today onwards, plan data, and your actual data should end yesterday. So if those are the type of integrated data, plan and actual, plan and forecast, those kind of things are required, then SAP has given a table type which is called a forecast layout. And in that forecast layout, your actuals and plan can be easily combined. So those are the two table types: cross tab as a default, and then forecast table layout. And then, as we know, we have rows, columns, filters, etc., which you can easily configure. We also have a concept called pagination. So pagination concept actually enables easy viewing of data in a table widget when the data is huge and one page is not enough for the data in the story. So if it is not possible to view the entire data in one page, then you should go for pagination in your stories. And pagination will come into play only when you are viewing the story in the view mode. Then you will see that pagination come into play. Otherwise, it's just in the configuration, you have to configure it. And when you do the view, then the pagination will come into picture. So in the view mode in SAC, pagination splits a canvas into multiple pages. The keyword here is canvas. Pagination is enabled on the canvas page. Pagination is not there on the responsive page. I don't think responsive page allows pagination. I have not tried it though. I have always tried pagination on a canvas page, but I think it doesn't allow. You can test it out. But usually the concept of pagination, just keep that in mind. Pagination allows easy page by page analysis of a data in a table widget if the data is huge and it is not getting accommodated in one page. So if you want to split your data into multiple pages, then pagination concept is very, very handy. From a user standpoint, it gives a good way to navigate between different pages of the table data. So that's where pagination comes into play. Pagination is designed to display all data of a table and provide a reporting page-like browsing experience. So it will be page by page. And you can jump to a particular page. If you want to jump to last page, first page, page number 10, page number 20. So all those things are possible with pagination. And that will come into play when you are in the view mode. So in the view mode, this feature can easily be visualized. Note, pagination is only available on canvas pages. And for ODE, optimized design experience, pagination, even on canvas page, if you are canvas page, but pagination is not supported for tables in containers such as a panel. So for example, you have put that table widget inside a container widget, okay, inside a container, then that pagination will not come into play. Pagination will only come into play when your table is not inside a container. So what is this container I'm talking about? When you go into a page in a story, and if you enable the left hand side panel, then we have something called containers here. Okay, these are all your simple widgets. These are your simple widgets: chart, table, input, control, text, header, button, etc. And then you have containers. So inside a container, you can put these different widgets to better organize them or group them. So if you put a table widget inside a container, then pagination will not come into play. Pagination will be disabled. Pagination will not be there. But if it's a simple table and if you haven't enabled any containers, then a pagination can be viewed in the view mode. If you are designing the story in edit mode, how do you enable pagination? In the builder panel, you just click on this auto size and page table vertically. So this is the option. In the builder panel, in the reporting section of builder panel, auto size and page table vertically option will be there. Okay. So that is the way how you enable pagination. We'll see that today. Okay, how to do all these functionalities I'm going to show you today. But first, let's cover the theory part and then we will jump into the practicals. So that is what is called pagination. Please use that judiciously. And if it's a canvas page and you want to highlight or you want to show the data in a table which spans across multiple pages, it is not sufficient. One page is not enough to accommodate the data. Then use pagination. Then you have in-cell charts. We have already seen that, but we will enable it again today. In-cell chart is basically your charting inside a table. So you can enable bar chart. Okay, only bar chart is enabled there, not any other type of chart. So you can enable a bar chart inside a table cell so that easily a user knows that within my Q1 2022, for example, which month was the highest. Okay. And if you minimize these months, if it's just Q1, Q2, so which quarter has the highest operating income? And then if you minimize and drill up to year level, which year has the highest operating income? So visually, it is easier to identify immediately. You don't even have to look at the numbers. You just can look at the bars, and by the length of the bars, you can easily say that, okay, this particular year or this particular quarter or this particular month, in this example I'm talking about, which is my highest operating income. So in-cell charts are a very handy feature, and it gives a visually appealing way to identify and visualize the data. So that is also possible in a table. Then you can format tables. So there are different ways to format tables, and that formatting happens in the styling panel. Please remember that all the formatting which you will do, like for example, your borders, your background color, your table templates, your styling rules, your styling, etc., all that is done in the styling panel. So you can have different ways to format tables. You can change the font. You can switch to a different template. So there are different templates for a table widget. Okay. This is not the story template we used. I'm talking about a table widget also has its own templates. So you can switch to a different template. And then once you have switched, you can further do some more styling and apply some styling rules to different members. So all those styling and templates and fonts, etc., is done in the styling panel. So let's look at each one of these templates. So each table widget will have different templates defined. So if I have a table widget and you have hierarchical format like that, okay, in this example, then you can enable different templates. I mean, it's not necessary to have hierarchy to have this table templates enabled. Table templates will be enabled for a simple table also. Even if you don't have hierarchical format, it's fine. You can still enable table templates, not a big deal. But with the hierarchical format, it becomes more visible and more prominent, these templates. But this is not a mandatory thing. This is not a prerequisite. So what are the different table templates you have? First one is default. Of course, the default template where it doesn't do any highlighting or any underlying or any bold or anything, just a simple default layout, which we currently have. So in our SAC, this is a simple default layout. Okay, there is nothing special in it. But there are other templates like we have report styling. This is report styling, right? Then you have, this is report styling. This is the default. The first one on the top is default. Then you have report styling. As you can see, in this report styling, we have the operating income, gross profit, net revenue, and gross revenue in bold. Actual plan for that is also bold. But below that, the gross sales is in not bold. So all the nodes, the hierarchy nodes, not the leaf one, not the final value, all the nodes are automatically made bold as you drill down into them. It will automatically become bold. And then the final one will be shown in the simple numbers. So this is a good way to see the totals. Total gross revenue for actual plan, total net revenue, total gross profit, total operating income. So all that is the totals, and the nodes are highlighted, and the actual values, the leaf members, are in simple way. So this is a report styling. And then you have alternating rows. Alternating rows means gray, white, gray, white, gray, white. If you want this type of format, which some clients, they really like this format, then you can go for that as well, which are called alternating rows. And then we have basic, which was previously called standard. Basic will highlight your rows and your columns in gray, and the actual data stays as white. Okay, so that is your basic. That's also, sometimes it looks good, and it's a good way to just segregate the actual data from the headers. These are your row and these are your column. And if you want to just put the different color, and this gray is pretty, decent color from a business standpoint. So you can go for basic. So that is your basic template. So all these are different templates available for a table widget. And then of course, you can do colors, fonts, threshold, row height, all those additional styling you can do for those. Once you have done the template, you can also do styling. These are called styles. So say for example, we have the rows and then we have the columns. You want a different style for columns and you want a different style for the rows. Then you can either just do it one time, like highlight this particular section, which is your column, and then put the background color as your light orange, and then the font as pink in this case. And then you can save your story. But if you want to reuse that styling in other sections of your table as well, then you will create a style and then save that style. So by default, there is no styling applied. The default style automatically gets applied. So by default, there is no styling from SAC, but you can create your own style and save that. And why do you save it? Because you want to reuse that styling in multiple sections of the table layout. So this style, so in this example, two styles are saved, style 1 and style 2. Style 1 is applied to your rows, which is your green font, and then style 2, which is your pink font with or light orange background, is applied to the columns. So those things can easily be applied by creating a style. Okay, again, you can create this style one time and save it, or you can create a style and save that as a reusable style, which is preferred way, because that gives you the flexibility to use that in multiple sections. So that is what is called stable styles. So you can create your own style and then reuse that. Okay, by the way, styles are available for any table in the story from any data source. This is not dependent on your data source. Remember, I told you that certain functionalities like planning related functionalities, entering data, and then allocations and version management, all that is available if your model type is planning. Otherwise, if the model type is analytic, it will be read only and you will not have those planning related features. But as far as stylings are concerned, styles are concerned, that is not dependent on the data source. It is available on any type of data source, whether it's an import data, whether it's a live data, whether it's a planning enabled or just analytic. The styles are available for all types of data source in the story. And once you have the styles created, you can further do some styling rules. Styling rules are basically there to, if you want to control the style based on what the cells contain, you can create a styling rule. So I'll give you an example. See here. So here what we have done is we have styling on this data. Okay, styling is always done on the content. So this is my content. So I have done styling, and what is the styling? That the top row should be styled, and the next the children, the next child of this parent node should be styled. But after that, the grandchildren. So this is my parent, this is my children, and this is grandchildren. Grandchildren is not styled. Only the parent and its immediate child is styled. So parent is all is styled like this. What is the style? Style is blue background and then bold color and underline in the value. So bold, underline and blue background. That's my style. I have applied the style to the parent, to the child of that parent or all the children of that parent, but not to the grandchildren. So that kind of styling is also possible with styling rules. Okay, but styling rule will need a style to be created first. So first step is you have to create a style like this, where you will say that what is my background color, what is my font color, what is my size, do I need underline or not, what is the alignment, indentation, etc. Once you have saved that style, then you can further tell SAC that apply that style to only the parent or parent and children or parent, children and grandchildren or just parent or just the immediate children. All those combinations you can do. So this is basically styling rules. And also, very importantly, styling rule also enables you to make a particular column editable or read only. That's also sometimes used in the planning. So in planning, styling rules are also used to make a column, usually it's a measure, as editable or read only. So sometimes, there are requirements that, okay, my entire story should be plan enabled. That means I should be able to enter data in my story, but except this particular column. Just make this column as read only for now. I don't want users to enter data. Other columns, they should be able to enter data. If that kind of requirement is there, you cannot disable planning, first of all, because if you disable planning, then all the columns will become read only. But the requirement is not make all the columns read only. Requirement is just make one column read only and other columns should be read write enabled. Then the styling rules comes into play and you can use the styling rules to make the column editable or not editable. So that is possible with styling rule also. So styling rule sometimes is used for that as well. But the primary purpose of styling rule is to style the different levels of your content. So now I'll go to the theory. Now it will make sense. When creating a styling rule, the context of the style is where your cursor is. So wherever you put your cursor is, that becomes your context. And then for that, you put your styles. And what does the style apply to? Style can apply to self. Self means, in this example, only the parent, what I'm talking about, the top one. Only applies to style to the member itself. Example, if you select 2024, then style only applies to 2024, but not to the lower granularity like half year, quarter, month, etc. It won't. Then we have self and children. Self and children means that if you have selected 2024 in this example, then it will apply 2024 and immediate child of 2024. So in this case, this is my parent, all is my parent. What is the immediate child of all? 2017. So that will be styled. Similarly, 2018 is also an immediate child of all. 2019 will also be an immediate child. So 2017, 18 and 19 are children of all. So they will be styled, but not the grandchildren. So that's what it says. Self and children. Applies to the style to the member and its children, not grandchildren. Then you have the third category, self and descendants. Self and descendant means apply to yourself and all your descendants. Then it doesn't care about whether it's a immediate child or whether it's a grandchild, whether it's a grandchild, whether it's a further level child. So it applies to everything. So that everything is self and descendants. And that is the default behavior also. By default, you will see that in the styling rule, it will be self and descendants. But you can change that to self or self and children. And then there is a fourth category called self and siblings. So self and sibling means it will apply to 2024. It also applies to the same level siblings, 2025, 6, but not to their half years, quarters and months. So siblings means yourself and your siblings. So in this scenario, if I do self and siblings, what is going to be styled? Only this all is going to be styled. Why? Because there is no sibling which is at this category, at this level. Only one member is there, which is all. Because if I minimize this and if I drill up to all, there is no sibling for all. So only this top row will be styled, nothing else will be styled. But if I want all the years to be styled as well, so all should be styled and years should be styled, then I will say self and children. What if I want only the years to be styled, not all, or all should not be styled, Q2 should not be styled, months should not be styled, only the year should be styled. Then how will I do it? Then there is also an option called only children. Okay, it's not mentioned here, but now with the new functionalities which is introduced, only children is also there. So if you do only children, then that means 2017 will be styled, 2018 will be styled, 2019 will be styled, all the immediate children will be styled, but of course not the grandchildren. So all those different permutations and combinations are there in the styling rules. Okay, let me summarize then. First, what you will do is you will create a style and then save that style. Then you will come to the styling rule, and then for the content, for the actual data, you will mention that the styling should be applied to which levels and which levels should not have any styling. So that also can be done with styling rules. And the third functionality for which the styling is used is making the column editable or read-only for planning purposes. That's also a very handy feature. Okay. All right. So let's do the practical now. Enough theory. Now let's go into the practical and let me show you that what are the different things we can do with the table widget. Okay. All right. So let's go to our SAC. Okay. And then what I will do is I will create a separate column. Let me not disturb because we have specific functionalities which we enabled or which we configured for these specific pages. I'm going to create a new page. So click on these three triple dot. When you have multiple pages and it is not showing in this one single monitor or screen, then we have triple dot. And that triple dot will tell you what are the different pages. All these are different pages. How many pages it has? It has around 13 pages, right? And which page you are on, that is your checkbox. The checkbox will tell you that this is the dimension to measure is the page you are on. Also, there will be a underline under that page, which is going to tell you that this is the page you are on. So now I'm going to go to the last page. What I'll do is, I'll go to the dashboard page because we have a nice table there. Okay. And we will copy that. Okay. So what I'll do is, this is the table we have, right? So click on this and then Control C to copy the table widget. Then you click on triple dot, go to the last page, which is export. Okay, this is the last table which we dealt with. Then I'm going to just duplicate that page, or I can also create a new page. So what I will do is I will create a new page. For creating a new page, there's a plus sign. And for duplicating it, you have to click the down arrow and then you can duplicate that as well. So let me duplicate actually. Okay, I'll duplicate it and then we will delete it, select and just remove this. And then Control V, which is your paste from the clipboard. So you have already copied from the dashboard page and you can just simply add that. Okay, so now we will rename this. Click on the down arrow and then say edit title. And here we will say table. This is a responsive page. So we are in the table responsive page. Okay, so I'll make this bigger a little bit. Okay, so now we have the table and then we'll hit the save, of course. And now we'll see what are the different options we have for the table, what we discussed. So first of all, I will just make it hierarchical. So date, we will enable date and then we'll see the hierarchy. How does the different functionalities will happen. It's not mandatory for you to have hierarchical, but it is a good visualization with hierarchy. So first of all, I'll remove this. What is this color? This is conditional formatting, the threshold we created. So I'm going to remove that first. So click on this and then you click on the right hand side panel and then go to the measures grouping. Okay, your measures are all grouped here. So you click on this and then you say threshold and then uncheck the show threshold. So immediately the threshold will be gone. So now we will save it. I just want to have okay. Before I save it, I just want to have a simple table. I don't want any thresholds or anything. So that's why I removed it. Now in the rows, instead of sales agent, I'm going to put date. Okay. So I'll put date here. And then I'll remove the sales agent. So I will remove the sales agent. That way we'll have hierarchy, right? And then we have customer meetings, units sold, and then our third one is order value. By default, it is minimized. That means it is drilled up to the top level, which is your all. And then if you expand that, you will see you will have 2017, 18, 19, all your measures. And then under 2017, we have Q2, Q3, Q4. And then you can also enable the halves, first half, second half, third half, those things are also possible. So you can enable that if you want. And then we will go from there. So this is a simple hierarchical format of date and then all our measures, the direct measures which are coming from the model. So first thing what I want to show you is the swap axis. So you see here we have something called swap axis, right? So make sure the table widget is selected and then you click on this swap axis. What this will do is it's going to bring the measures in your rows and your date in your columns. Previously, what it was, we had date in the rows and measures in the columns. So very easy to swap axis with this swap axis functionality. And now you can have all your dates there. And this is also sometimes a good way. So if I just filter on one particular year, just to make it a little streamlined, I'll select 2018 maybe. I'll select 2018. Okay. And that way you will see that we have all at all level. And then 2018, if you expand, you will have Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 for 2018. And then you can expand the Q1 as well, which will be Jan, Feb, March, similarly Q2, similarly Q3. So this is the easy to use swap functionality where I just went there and then I swapped the axis. That's a good functionality. This is basically pivoting and unpivoting using this simple functionality that you can do. Okay, so that's one great feature. Then we have the totals. Sometimes we want the totals to be highlighted, right? Although the totals are already highlighted here because it's a hierarchical view. So if you drill up to years, this value is already totaled at a year level. If you have highlighted, if you have expanded till the quarters, then these are already your totals. So if you have a hierarchical view, you don't really need to show totals. But suppose if it's not a date, if it's not a hierarchy, say for example, we have date plus we have the customer segment also. So these are the properties. Okay. As you can see here, we have a hierarchy and we also have properties here. So I'm going to use the customer segment property here as my second dimension. Okay. And here you will see that we have, if I just remove date for just a second. So now if you have direct, retail and wholesale customer segment, and maybe I'll add one more column, which is your product type. Okay, there you go. So now we don't have hierarchy anymore. So we have customer segment, direct customers, mountain bikes, racing bikes, retail customers, mountain racing. Now I want to see totals for my customer segment, suppose. Okay. So how do I see totals for the customer segment? Because now these values are not total at a customer segment level. These are my values for direct mountain customer meetings, units sold and order value, not the entire direct. So sometimes the users want the totals to be shown. That's a very frequently used feature. So how do you enable total? You right click on this. You right click on the dimension header. Customer segment. I want totals at customer segment. And then you say show hide totals. So what that will do is it will now have totals for your entire, all total for the entire direct, retail and wholesale customer segments. But please pay attention here. It did not bring me totals for each customer segment. My requirement was that for direct, it should show me the totals. For retail, it should show me the totals. For wholesale, it should show me the totals. But right now, what it is doing on all the customer segments, it is showing my 24,771. That's not what I meant. So that means for customer segment, if you need the totals, you have to do the totals on the next column. So I'm going to remove the totals here. Okay. And now I will do the total on product type. Show hide totals. Now it is giving me the totals for the customer segment. Total for direct is 7875. Total for retail is 7272. Total for wholesale is 9624. So please be careful here because many a times consultants gets confused that why the total is not showing at the level we want. See, just keep in mind this behavior. If you want total for each customer segment, that means what you are saying to SAC, you have to say to SAC that all the product types which belongs to direct should be totaled. All the product type which belongs to retail should be totaled. All the product type which belongs to wholesale should be totaled. Then you will get direct customer segment wise totals, retail wise totals, wholesale wise totals. That's why you have to go on the next level and then say, show me totals. If there are 3 or 4 such dimensions, then you'll have to go to the next level to show the totals. So if I remove this for time being, right click on the header and show hide totals. Now let me bring one more dimension. So I'm going to go and I'm going to bring the actual product, or not the actual product. Maybe I will choose status. Okay. So now I have 3 levels: customer segment, product type, customer status, and then I have the measures. Now the requirement is that show me the totals for each product type. That means mountain, what is the total? Racing, what is the total? And same thing here for retail and mountain. So what you will do is you will go to the next one, which is customer status. You right click on it and you will say show hide totals. So now it is going to show you the direct mountain wise 4894, direct racing wise, retail mountain wise, and then if you scroll down, retail racing wise, and then wholesale. So the totals are based on either, although I did my right click total here, but this total is shown for each mountain. That means each product type, the previous dimension. Now it's totaling based on all the mountain customer status, all the racing customer status, all the mountain customer status, racing customer status for different customer segment. So please keep that in mind. If you want total at this level, you have to right click on the next level and then do a show hide total. Okay, so I'm gonna remove that now, or we can keep it here, or yeah, let me remove it because I'm going to show you other features also. So this is one of the functionalities, which is totals. Okay, one more thing I forgot. Sometimes, what happens is the totals are required below, not at the top. So what I mean by that is, if I enable total, let me enable total for customer segment wise. So if I want total for each customer segment, I have to go to the next one and I'll say right click, show hide totals. And if I want these totals not at the top, you see, for direct, it is coming at the top. Retail, the first row, which is the top for the retail, that's where totals are showing up. But sometimes they want total to be below. So if they want that, then you go again to the builder panel, and then there is an option called arrange totals parent nodes below. So if you do that, then your totals will be now after your individual members, then the totals will come. So that's also possible. The default behavior is at the top, the SAC shows total, because from a user standpoint also, it makes sense to see it on the total at the very top level, because then they can see that immediately. They don't have to scroll down. If there are too many member values, they don't have to scroll down to see totals. It will be at the very top. But if they want to be at the bottom, then click on this arrange totals below, then totals will go down. Okay, so that's a feature for the totals, top and bottom, how you can enable the total. And also we saw that how to swap the axis between the different rows and columns. You can easily swap the axis. So here also again, if I do the swap axis, then there will be direct, then mountain, and then customer status, and then you have your different totals are shown, and then your measures have come in this particular row format. Okay, I'm just going to do Control Z, which is going to go back to this. And then you will save the story. So this is one feature which is total, top and bottom, and swap axis. Now I'm going to show you something called in-cell charts. So for example, these numbers for customer meetings, they want to see in a chart format. So you can enable that easily by doing a right click on that measure column header now. Totals, how did we do totals? On the dimension column, we did right click, show height and totals. But here we will do right click on the measure column and I will say in cell charts, which is going to easily enable the chart, bar chart functionality within the table. And now you can very easily see that which of my status in the mountain is the one which has the highest meeting. I had to do the highest meeting. Immediately you will know that this is my prior customer. Okay, here it is my prior customer. Here it is my prospective customer, so on and so forth. So immediately, not even the numbers, you don't have to even look the numbers. You can easily show the chart, bar chart, and then that will be a better visualization from a user standpoint. So that's another good handy functionality, which is called in-cell charts. Then there is something called pagination we discussed, right? Pagination is enabled for canvas pages, not for responsive pages. So since this is a responsive page, let's see if pagination is there or not. And where do you see pagination option? If you go back to theory, so your pagination option is here. Let me go up. Yeah. So in the builder panel, right hand side panel, builder panel, in the reporting section, you will find an option called auto size and page table vertically. Okay. So I will go to my story. And then I will go to my right hand side panel. So let me select the widget, go to the right hand side panel, and then we have okay, let me minimize all the sections so that we know that we have to go to the reporting section. We don't have in the table structure under that, do we have any reporting section, rows, columns, filters? No, we don't have any reporting section there. How about properties? Do we have reporting view mode, data refresh, comments, planning? See, planning is enabled for this, although we don't want it. So I can disable planning for now and then unresolved. No, I don't see any reporting section. So the theory is saying that you should be able to see a reporting section, which is not there. Why is it not there? Because I am in a responsive page. That's why it is not there. So let me create a canvas page. So I'm going to create a canvas page by clicking on this plus and add canvas page. And we are going to rename this to table canvas. And now I'm going to copy this particular widget. Okay, Control C. Okay, there are two ways. Either you can do Control C and Control V, or you can also come to the three dots and you can say copy to which page? Table canvas page. Okay, and this is now my canvas page. The table has come in. And now what I will do is I'm going to remove certain rows and columns. Okay, because I want this table to have a lot of data. Only then I will not be able to view that data in a single page. Right now, the data is more or less there in the single page, but I want more data so that it is not there in the single page. It cannot be accommodated in the single page. So what I'll do is I'll remove customer segment, I'll remove product type, I'll remove customer status, and I'll bring in a granularity which is a high granularity. So say for example, country. So country wise, if I have my measures, okay, and customer meetings, we have, okay, now you see, we have a scroll all the way because we have so many countries. So there is a scroll bar now. So this data cannot be accommodated in a single page. All right. So let me first save it. And this is a canvas page. Now what I will do is I am going to go in the same builder panel, and now I have a reporting section. In the canvas page, you will find the reporting section. You will not find it on the responsive page. And now I can click on auto size and page table vertically. This is going to enable the pagination functionality in my tabular format. Now I'm going to save it. And where do you visualize the pagination? On the view mode, not in the edit mode. So now I have enabled pagination. Now I'm going to click on the view mode, which is going to open a separate tab. Okay. So now this is my view mode. Let it open. And in this view mode, the pagination should be enabled, because the pagination will enable that navigation, first page, last page, go to a particular, jump to a particular page, and so on. So all those things will be possible with pagination. So let's see how it looks like. See, my story is taking time to render. Why? Because I have so many pages. Now I have 15 pages, and we have so many widgets which are also being displayed on each of these pages. Right now it's 2018. So I'm going to select all so that we have enough data for all the widgets. And then we will see the data will come in. And now I'm in the view mode. I want to go to the last page. I don't want to do this one page at a time. So what do? Go to display, tab bar, and then all the way to the end. And then I have table canvas. And there we have our table. And now the moment you hover over it, below you can see now I have the page enabled navigation. So now if I go to the next page, this is my next page, then again next page, and then if I want to go to the final end page, then you can click on the go to my last page, which is, okay, now it's generating the pages because there's a huge amount of data. So it is basically calculating that how many pages it has to generate, and then it will take me to the final page, which is my page number 14. So now you know that there are 14 pages because of the number of countries we have. And then you can navigate. If you want to go to page number 10, you can click on that. Then you have pagination here. And if you want to go to the top page, the first one, then you can come here. So this page by page navigation becomes very handy, and it's a good user functionality so that they can navigate each page, and they don't have to scroll, because scroll sometimes becomes a little clumsy and it is difficult to navigate. So that's where your page by page analysis becomes useful for the users. So that's how you can enable the pagination. Please remember that it is only for canvas pages, and also please remember that it is not enabled if you put your table in a container. It has to be a independent simple table widget. It should not be put inside a container. The moment you put inside a container, then the pagination will not be there. Pagination has to be there for a simple direct table widget. So that's how you will enable pagination. Yeah, I know a lot of people have hands raised. I'm sorry, I'll not be able to take questions right now. We have a lot of content to cover. So let me cover that, and please take your questions and note down your questions, hold on to them, and we'll come to that. Okay, so this is pagination. When you export the page, then you have to see if all pages are coming into your export or not. Sometimes I have seen that there are issues. If there are too many pages, then say for example, there are maybe 100 pages or more, then there are issues in the export as well. Usually, if the pages is within 15, 20, 25 pages, then the export should work. Otherwise, you might face some issues. So don't go crazy with number of pages. Keep it to a minimum. Again, performance, you have to take into consideration. You saw that when we first started with one page, how fast was my dashboard. And now with 15 pages, it is becoming slow. And the more pages you add, it will start becoming slower and slower. So that's how you have to keep the performance also in mind. Okay. Now let's go back to our edit mode. So I'm going to close this view mode, and then my edit mode is already there. And now what I will do is I will now show you some report templates and report styling and styling rules. Those are very, very important. One more thing, before I go into the templates and styling rules, etc. Sometimes there is another requirement from customers that they want to reorder these measures. So they want units sold as my first measure. Then they want order value. And then in the last, they want to see customer meetings, because customer meetings are not that important of a measure. Units sold and order value are more important from a business standpoint. So that's why they want to keep customer meetings at the very end. So now you have to rearrange these measures. So how do you do that? Because if there are dimensions you can very easily rearrange. Like for example, if I add one more dimension, which is my product type. Right now, the product type is added after the country and product type, right? And totals are also there. I don't want totals here, so I'll right click, show hide. I will disable the totals because these are repeating totals which are not really, visually appealing. So this is my data, country, every country wise my product type. And if I want product type as the first column, then I will just come here and I will just drag it above. And immediately my product type now becomes my first column, and then country for each of those product type, and then my measures. Great. And then again, if I want country back, I can drag it up. But what about measures? I don't see measures separately listing like this. It is not separately listed out. So how do I now arrange my measures? I want customer meeting to be the last. I want my order value to be the second, and your unit sold has to be the first one. How do I do that? So then what you have to do is you have to come to the measures, click on the three dots, and then you will say edit member order. That is the option, edit member order. And then you can drag them. So I want my unit sold as my first one, and then order value as my second one. And then there's an average unit sold, which is fine. You can leave that as it is, customer meetings, and then click on done. So now you have unit sold as your first, second is your order, and third is your customer meetings. So this is how you will rearrange the measures. Rows, very simple, intuitive. Columns, not that intuitive, because columns, which are measures, are grouped together. Please remember, measures are always grouped in one single gray bar, whereas the dimensions are different bars for different dimensions. So that's why you have to come to this triple dot. This triple dot will be your go-to area where you will find everything related to measures. And edit member order is the functionality to rearrange. Okay, so I'll save this. So that's the way to rearrange the measure order, like in which order you want the members of the measure. Okay, when it says member, don't get confused. These are not dimension members. When it says member means what are the members of this particular grouping, this rectangle? What are the members? We have three model measures. We have the customer meeting, unit sold, and order value. You want to rearrange them? Yes, I want to rearrange them. That's the option called edit member order. And also you can rename them. If you want unit sold, order value, customer meetings, you want a number of customer meetings. Suppose you want to rename them. So you will come again to now, not to this three dots. Instead of that, you will click on where it's showing three model measures. Click on that. I don't know why my annotation always goes away. Just give me 1 second. Where's my annotation bar? Okay. Okay. All right. So now I will click on the 3 model measures and then you will hover over them. And then there is a pencil icon which says rename. And then you click on that and you will say number of customer meetings and then click enter. And then now it will be renamed to number of customer meetings. So that's how you can rename the measures as well. You click on save. Okay. So this is where my canvas page and pagination is expressed there. Now I'll go back to my responsive table. Okay. So that's how we do swapping. That's how we do the totals. That's how we do the pagination, and that's how we do the in-cell charts. And of course, another way to show totals is hierarchical view, because in hierarchy, automatic totals are shown at each node level. So you don't need to enable totals. But if you don't have hierarchical format, then you have to enable totals if the client requires, and then total you can put either on the top or at the bottom. Both are possible. All right, so now let's look at the reporting templates. Okay, so I'm going to again duplicate this and I will rename this to templates. So table, templates, and styles. Okay, again, we will now remove some dimension just to make it simpler. I'll remove this. I'll remove the product type, customer status, and then I'll simply add the date dimension here again. Okay. So now you see in the date, you have a hierarchical format. So you can enable that date dimension where it will be all number of customer meetings. Okay. In-cell chart, we don't need. So I'm just removing that in-cell chart. How did I do that? By right clicking on it and then again clicking on in-cell chart. So if you click on it, it comes. If you click back on it, it goes away. So in-cell charts are gone. And then I have 3 simple measures and then I have the date dimension. Yes, that's what I want. So I'm just going to save it. Okay. Now let me show you the template. So this is my responsive page and I will make it smaller so that the numbers are closer together. And then you can see we have the hierarchy where you have 2018, we have Q1, Q2, Q3, etc. And then you have Jan, Feb, March, etc. So on and so forth. This is the default. Okay. There is no template. There is no custom templates applied. This is the default template where it shows data like this. Now, if I want to apply a different template, then what I will do is I will go to the right hand side and then where do I go? Styling panel. Please remember that templates you will not find in builder panel. Styling and styling rules you will not find in builder panel. It will be in the styling panel. So click on the styling panel and then you come down and you will see, if I click on this and then template under the table properties. Okay. So right now this is a default template. And let me minimize this and minimize this. So at the overall level, I have my data and the template is default. So now we have 4 different templates. The default one, which is automatically applied to any table you create. Then you have report styling. So click on report styling. It's going to give you a warning. Switching the template will reset any styles. Yeah, that's fine because anyways, I don't have any custom styles, which is fine. Now you see the format is slightly different. How? First of all, the underlines have come. In the default, if you see, if I go back to default, this is a lighter shade of underlines. It's not a bolder shade of underlines here in the data. Now, if I go to my report styling, then this is also now a bolder shade of underline. And if I highlight this, you see this became bold and the values all okay. And then, okay, first of all, I will enable the arrange totals again to below and to the top. Yeah. So now you see we have this, then we expand Okay, so good morning and good evening. Okay, so right now this is a default template. And let me minimize this and minimize this. So at the overall level, I have my data and the template is default. So now we have 4 different templates. The default one, which is automatically applied to any table you create. Then you have report styling. So click on report styling. It's going to give you a warning. Switching the template will reset any styles. Yeah, that's fine because anyways, I don't have any custom styles, which is fine. Now you see the format is slightly different. How? If I, first of all, the underlines have come. In the default, if you see, if I go back to default, this is a lighter shade of underlines. It's not a bolder shade of underlines here in the data. Now, if I go to my report styling, then this is also now a bolder shade of underline. And if I highlight this, you see this became bold and the values all okay. And then, okay, first of all, I will enable the arrange totals again below and to the top. Yeah. So now you see we have this, then we expand. This will now, the header will now become, the underline will become your bold and also the values will become bold. But these are your lighter shade values. You expand that. Now your Q1 becomes bold. Then you expand January, your January becomes bold. So all the different nodes which I am expanding and minimizing, they will keep becoming bold because these are the total values. And then your final leaf member value, which is the day, will be in the lighter shade. Same thing for here. February will become bold as you will minimize. As you will minimize, then it will become lighter. Why it will become lighter? Because now it is basically a member of this Q1 and you have not highlighted any further member. So there is no further member in the view. So this will become lighter. So now if I minimize Q1, Q1 will become lighter because now the Q1 doesn't have any further level. This is my leaf right now. So all the leaves will be in the lighter and then the nodes on the top will be in the bolder. So this is one of the templates which you can easily apply to your table. And sometimes people who are used to seeing the totals in bold and used to seeing the numbers below in lighter shade, this is a very good template to adapt. Next template, what we have, again go to styling, okay, and then click on this. Alternating rows. Alternating rows, as we discussed, was gray, white, gray, white. So if you click on this, again it will throw you a warning. You say okay, and now it is gray, white, gray, white. So now it doesn't follow any specific format that you will expand the node and then only it will bold it. No, it's not like that. You can just okay, let me come out of this. So now you will have your alternate rows irrespective of what you are expanding or what you are minimizing or what you are drilling up or drilling down. You are basically seeing just an alternate row. Sometimes this is also very handy for users. But sometimes what they say is that these numbers, what they are showing is not very clear to read. They are hard to read because if you see the color of this font, it is a little, dampened shade, I would say. Basically, this is a lighter shade. So they want to see these numbers clearly. Sometimes that also I have seen as a requirement. So in that case, what you will do is you will click on the widget, anywhere in the widget, click on the right hand side panel and go down to your font. And in the font, if you see this color is a lighter shade of black. So I will do a darker shade of black and then, okay, only this one got selected because I was selecting the only this particular cell. So if I click on this, yeah, one thing you have to keep in mind is when you're in styling panel, the moment you hover over it, it will highlight different sections. That means this is your context for styling. So you want to style this section, or you want to style the header only, or if you want to style the content only, and so on. This is where the styling context will come into picture. And because I was clicking on this one cell, that's why that one cell got that color, not the entire table. So if you want for the entire table, then click here. No, yeah, sometimes it becomes difficult. Yeah, the entire table is like this. So if you have to click on the white space. But if you want only the numbers to be bold a little bit, then you select here where it will select this particular space, which is your content, and then you go to the font and then say black. So now it is a much better and clearer view than that lighter shade of black, and this is more legible from a user standpoint. So this is how you can do your styling so that it is better and clearer for the viewer. And this is your alternating rows. So sometimes alternating rows looks good. So this is the third template. And then we also have another template, which is the basic template. Previously it was called standard. So go to the styling panel again and then come down to your table, and then you will see template as the fourth one called basic. Previously it was called standard. What this will do is the columns and the rows header will become gray like this. So this is also a good way to differentiate the actual numbers, the actual content from the headers, the column headers and the row headers. And again, this became a lighter shade. So click on this area and then go down, go to the font and then click on the black so that it's more legible. And that's how you can, and then come out of this. And that's how you can make this table a little bit more legible and better. So these are different reporting templates provided by SAP for different reporting needs. If you're looking at financial data where it has hierarchy, sometimes the report styling is great. If you're looking at a simple table and you want just the column headers to be in a different color, then this is a very good way to do it. So these are all your reporting templates you can apply. Now we'll go into further styling, which is called styles. So now the basic template is applied, which is great. That's what we want. Now what I want is I want to style. I want to style the columns differently, columns differently and rows slightly differently. And rows also I want to apply that rules, child, self, siblings, children, and I want to see how it impacts. So what we do first is we have to step one, create a style. So what I'll do is I'll go into the right hand side builder panel again. Make sure your table is selected. Go to the styling panel and then you come down, keep going down. So here we chose the template. Okay. Now we will choose the style, and for the style, I will click on this section. Where is my style? I think I have to click on the content, maybe. Yes. Okay. So now there is a section called style. When I clicked on the content, or if I click on the column headers also, then also style will come in. Or if you click on the content, then also style will come in. So anywhere is fine. So now we have styles, right? So we will create a style here by clicking on the plus sign. Right now it is default. And what is the default? That default is coming from your template. And what is the template you have chosen? Basic. Previously it was called standard, now it is called basic. So basic template. So now I'll click on the plus sign. And then I will highlight the context, and the context is my rows. So I just highlight the rows and then I will name it as rows. That is my style name. And in this, I want maybe I need a blue shade, but not this blue. Okay. I will go here and I will do a darker blue or lighter blue rather. A light blue shade I need. Okay. And I want to fill No, actually no. So maybe I'll keep it as white, and I will fill the cell with a lighter blue shade. So I will say fill it with a lighter blue shade, and my font color, then it should not be light. It should be something like dark. Okay, and I'll say apply. And that's how the styling is applied on my rows. I still want a lighter shade. I don't want this one. So I'll go back to my styling panel. Okay, and make sure this is selected. Okay, and then I will come to the styling rule. So now the rows styling rule is saved. So I will click on this, go to the pencil icon to change it. And by the way, you can see the preview here. It's going to show you that how it will look like when you will click on apply. How will it look like? So there's a preview available. So I want the cell color to be even lighter. Let me see the preview. Yeah, better. And this I want it to be a darker black. Yes, this is better. Preview is looking good. And I want this underlined. So I will underline this. Yes, looks good. And I want to wrap it. Okay, what is wrap content? So you see here, although the value is Q1 2018, but there is a lot of white space after this. There is a lot of white space, which is unnecessary eating into my report area. So if I wrap it, then automatically the white space should be gone. So that is what the wrap content is meant for. So everything looks good. Size, I don't want to increase. Size is fine. Then I'll say apply. There you go. So now if you come out of it, you will see that it has wrapped up. So white spaces are gone. And now I have a better style for my rows. Great. So this is the style I saved. Okay. And now I will do another style for columns. So I will go to my right hand side panel, styling. Now I'll make sure the columns are selected. That is the context I want to style. And then I will create another style now. So I'll call it columns. And this one I want, maybe I will do first the cell. First I will wrap the content, and then I will cell color this as, let's say, it's already gray, but I don't want gray. Maybe I want a darker shade of blue. Okay, I want a blue. No, this is not my cell color, sorry. The font I want it as maybe white, and then the cell color I will fill it as very dark. So let's see the preview. Okay, it's like this. No, I want a lighter shade of black. So maybe this preview, yeah, looks fine. Wrapping the content is fine. Font style is this. This I don't want as underlined, so which is fine. I want to indent it. Alignment I want in the middle. Okay. Right now you see the values are on the right and the headers are on the left. I want it to be middle section, and preview looks fine. I'll apply this. Okay, great. So now I have a better looking table. So my measures are basically different style, and my columns are different style, and my value of course is simple. There is no styling there. So I'm going to save this. So this is a better view because white spaces are gone, and the number of customer meeting units sold, order value, all that styling is there. And then I will yes. So this is my, so what did I do? What did I do so far? I did the reporting template. I applied the reporting template, and in that reporting template, I chose the basic. Okay, we are in the basic right now. And then I didn't want the gray color for rows and columns. So I created two styles here. Okay, what are those styles I created? I created style number 1 for rows. Here, this is how it will look like, and style number 2 for columns. Now I can apply these styles anywhere. So if I want to switch it, so for example, if I want to apply the darker shade in the in my rows, then instead of this which is selected, I can apply this, and this will become dark. And then in my measures, I want to apply this, then this will become other way around. So this is also possible, right? So the reason I was able to easily do it because I have saved that styling as my styles. So here you see we have the styles saved, which is my rows and columns, and now I can alternatively apply to any one which I want. Okay, so I'm gonna do a undo, okay, and this is better. So we are back to the one which we did. So if you see here, so we have style. For the rows, we have this style, and if you select the columns here, then the style is the darker shade. Great. So this is what I wanted. So I'm going to come out and then I'm going to save it. Now, further what I want is, now my content should be styled as well. So far I have been styling the headers, that is my rows and my columns, but I want the content to be styled. That's where you will do the styling rules. Okay, although you can style the content generally by again selecting this area and styling it. What I mean by that is, if you want a simple styling, not a rule based styling like children, siblings, all those, if you don't want that, if you just want to simply style this particular content section, then you can very easily select this particular content section, and then you can fill it with different colors and all those things, or you can create a new style for content specifically, and then you can do that as well. That's possible. Okay, but I want a further level of styling where I want to set some rules. So then I will go for styling rules. So this is my styling rule, and the styling rule has no styling rule created so far. So I am going to create a styling rule, and here it showed me date and measures because I have selected this context. So it has shown date and measure. And what is the level? Right now, the level is self and descendants. If you remember from our theory, self and descendant means everything. Okay, so date will be styling everything, and everything will be styled. That means if you expand 2018, that will also be your blue and everything. So there is no specific rule. I am going to change that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say for the date, I want self and the immediate children. That means I want to style the all, which is my self, top row, and the children, which is my 2018 only. If I make it 2018, sorry, let me select 2019 also and 2017, all of them, which will be a better data set to visualize. Let me go back to my template and styles page, and then I will go back to my builder panel. Now I can see all 2017, 18, 19. So I will go to the styling panel, and then I'm going to go to my styling rules, click on plus. Okay, styling rule 1. So I will say this is for hierarchy, date hierarchy. Okay, and then what I will say is for the date, it should be self and children, and which style I want to apply. I want to apply the rows style. Okay, and here you see read-only settings. Read-only settings will dictate whether you want to make that as read-only or editable. Okay, so read-only or editable, you can select it. For individual columns, you can select it. You want to make it read-only or editable, but right now we are not using that. So we are not concerned with that. Okay, so one second, let me first come to this and then styling panel and select this and then go to the styling rule, date. Now I will self and children. And which style I want? I want the row style, and then I'll say okay. All right. So what did it do? It styled the content also. So what did it style? The rows. What was rows? The blue background and the underlined and the bold color. So if I minimize this, this is style. Great. What did I say? Self and children. So what are the children? 2017, 18, 19, they are also styled. Great. But now if I expand one more level, okay, why is this styled also? Should not be. Okay, this is not styled, which is basically your the month. This is not styled, and of course below this will not be styled. Your all 2017 and Q2 got styled, but not these. Similarly for Q3, the months will not be styled, and for Q4 as well. But as per my rule, it should be the self and children, not the grandchildren. These are grandchildren. So why did it style that? So let me go back to styling panel. Let me select this entire thing. Go to my styling rules, which is styling rule 1. I'll expand that. And then I'm going to, this is self and children. Yeah.
There is a member there.
Sorry, where?
The member.
Oh, members.
That's a depth.
No, they are saying it's a 4 members are there. So I want self and children, and for measures it's fine. Measures it's self-independent. I'm just going to say okay again. And yeah, it is styling that as well. I don't know why.
I think so you should change.
Okay. Sorry, what is that?
For measure also, please change and see. It should.
Yeah, that's what I was about to do. But say for example, but for measures, I need it. I need that. Okay, let's change for measure as well. Let's see if that works. 4 members, all 2017, 18, and 19. Yes. No. It is somehow taking this as my top row and then the children. So let's change this and see what is the impact of that. So if I want only the children, so if I go back to styling rule and rows is fine. And instead of the self and children, I will just say the children. Okay. And measures, I will just click to self, for example. And then I'll click OK. Yeah. So see, the parent node, it did not, but it is styling the children. Children is 2017, 18, 19. And this, I don't know why Q2 is getting styled. Q2 should not get styled. This should not be styled, and anything below should not be styled. But somehow it is styling Q2 as well. Q3, Q4. So quarters it's styling, which it should not, as per my understanding. But it is somehow doing it. That we'll have to play around with why it is not styling the why it is styling the Q2, not the months. So months is fine. This is expected, but I was also expecting that Q2 will not be styled because it's a grandchildren. It's not immediate children. So we'll see that. But at least you get the concept. The concept is that wherever you want the styling to be applied, that and the siblings and the children, etc., you can play around with it. So if I go back and change it to siblings, for example, so if I go to styling rules, okay, I don't want the second one. I will just modify this one. You can create as many styling rules as possible. Yeah, one thing is, if you have more than one styling rule, then it takes the order of precedence. That means the first one will take precedence over the second one. The second one will take precedence over the third one. So in the order in which the styling rules are created, the top one will take the top precedence and so on and so forth. So here if I change from children to self and siblings, okay, and measures, maybe I'll remove it for now. Let's see. Yeah, so see, the all actually it is somehow it is styling that by default, and then it is taking the rules from 2017 onwards, because 2017 has siblings as 18 and 19 at the same level, so they are styled. But when it is going below that, the Q2, Q3, Q4, it is not styled. Then 2018 also it is not styled, and then 2019 also it is not styled. So only years are styled. 2018 is styled, 2017 is styled, and all by default it is automatically getting styled. That is, I don't think the rule is applying there. The rules is starting from the year onwards. Because now if you go back to what we were doing, first we said what? We said self and children. So that means this automatically we have to for now ignore and then start the rule from here. So the rule is self and children means this plus Q2, and then January onward it will not be styled. So I think it is what it is taking is the top row, which is the overall parent row. It is not considering that. By default it is styled, and then the rules are getting applied from 2017 onwards, because the actual data is from 2017 onwards. There is no data where it actually says all. All is just a categorization, a grouping, because of the hierarchical format. Hierarchy will automatically start with the default of all, but the actual data starts from 2017, 2018, and 2019. So that's what I think the style is getting applied to. Let's test that theory once more. So if I go back to styling rule, now I am going to say I will have the self and sibling. Instead of that, I will have only self. Only self means it should style only 2017, or no, it should style whatever data is there we have chosen here, the self. Let's say okay. Yeah, we have chosen everything. That's why it is there is no difference here. What I will do is, just to see a different style, I will go back and change it to descendants means everything. Again, I will just say descendants, only descendants. Only descendant means everything which is below 2017, 18, 19. Let's see if that is correct. Okay, now it took the top row as that parent, and all these are descendants. I don't know why it's somehow taking the top row and somehow not. Let me go back to self and children, and now it is taking 2017 and its children, and then it won't be styling. Yeah, so self and children is starting from the actual data header somehow, and then when I say just the descendants, then it is taking the top row also into consideration. So I'll have to figure that out exactly how the styling rule is behaving. But the behavior is based on the hierarchy, whatever hierarchy it is there. If you'll expand that, and if you have selected the self and children, it will style the immediate children, but not the grandchildren. And if you say descendants, then it will select everything, self and descendant, everything which is below. So that's how it is behaving right now. And if I click on the styling rules here, again, click on the actual content, and then I will say self and siblings. Now you will see that 2017, 18, 19, but not the Q1, Q2, Q3. Those are not. So yeah, Most of the styling rule is working as starting from the actual data headers, but some of them like descendants and all, it is also taking into consideration the top row. So that I have to check it out. But you get the idea, right? That's how the styling rules are usually used to style the different headers. This comes handy when there's a requirement that only show me the colors for years, but anything below year, don't show me. Or don't show the color for the year, only show me the colors for the levels below the year. So all those styling rules based on the requirement will be used. Sometimes the client is not aware these styling rules. So as a consultant, you should go and show these different styling rules, different templates, and then take customer feedback and then configure it accordingly. So there are these different ways you can style a particular table in different templates and styles. And then of course, planning is not enabled, but if planning is enabled, then what you can do is you can select this particular column, and then you come to the styling and go to the styling rule, and then you say it is read only. That means this particular row will become read only. Okay. So right now it doesn't matter because we don't have planning enabled, but when we will have planning enabled, that time we will see the styling rule read only functionality, how it can stop a user from entering data for a particular column and let them enter data for other columns. So that we'll see. But that is option available in the styling rules. So you have to play around, guys. Yes, these are the functionalities which sometimes, might not behave exactly as expected. But when you play around with them, with more dimensions, less dimensions, hierarchical formats, flat presentation, you will understand the behavior better. So you'll have to play around. You have to do some hands-on there. Okay, so this is what the styling rule and styling templates are for. Okay, and I've also shown order of measures, so that's good. In cell charts, we have seen. What else did we cover? Let me go back. Pagination we covered, in cell charts we covered, templates we covered, styling we covered, rules we covered, self and siblings and all those. That's what I've shown you. Yeah, this we have already told you can change the order of the rules to determine the precedence. So if you want one styling rule to take precedence, then put the styling rule on the top because the top one takes the precedence. Okay, guys. So, wow, it's already 2 hours. I didn't realize that. I thought I'll cover the charts also today. So we have some charting options which you should be aware of. Like, for example, the table had these features, your templates, your in-cell charts, and other things which we just discussed. Similarly, charts also has certain features which you should be aware of, which is important from a real customer scenario. So what I will do is I will stop here for the main class. Okay. And then if you guys are okay, instead of post Q&A session, I would like to cover the charts today as well. The reason is because I am planning to start the planning from next week. I don't want to, drag this story design any longer than this weekend. So from next week, we are starting the planning for sure. But before planning, I want to cover the charting. I want to cover some GeoMap functionality. And tomorrow, I'm going to cover the blending and performance improvement. And then we will stop for the story design. So can I take the post Q&A and cover the charts? Is that okay, guys?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I know you have a lot of questions. So at the end, after the charts are done and the geomaps, there are 2 more topics for today, charts and geomaps. So I will continue this class. I'm not going to stop the recording. I'm going to cover the charts. I'm going to cover the geomaps. And then if you still have some patience left, if you still can continue as per your time zone, if it's not very, very late for you, then we will do the post-session Q&A. And if not, then it's okay. We will cover the questions in the next session. That's not a problem. But the important part is covering the content, guys. Okay. I know you have questions and I will take those questions. but please give me time to cover the content. Otherwise, this will get dragged to the next week also, which I don't want. Next week, we have to start planning. So let me cover the chart and geomaps. I'm going to try to be quick, and then we can stop the main class and take post-session Q&A. Let me see if the recording is still on. I didn't stop it, right? Okay, yeah, perfect. So that is tables.
Can we take a
Now-
10 minutes break?
Yeah, we can. I think we have covered a lot, and I think we deserve a break. So, okay, let's keep it strict 10 minutes. 10:45, it's my time. So I'm going to be back by 10:55 my time. Let's take a 10 minutes break, and then we will come and cover the charts. Okay, thank you. I'll be back in 10. Okay, perfect. So can someone please confirm if you're able to see my screen?
Yeah, Dinesh.
Okay, thank you. All right. Again, I know I apologize because I'm not able to take questions at this moment. I know you have hands raised. So please bear with me. Let me complete the content and then we'll come to the questions. I'm going to mute everyone again. Okay, perfect. And where's my annotation? There it is. So we looked at the tables. Now we will look at some important functionalities of charts. Please remember that the functionalities and features which I am showing you does not cover all the comprehensive features which SSC provides. Of course, it's not possible for me to cover each and every small and big functionality because there are so many. So that's why I am emphasizing on hands-on. Please go and do hands-on as much as possible. What I'm going to cover in this training are the most frequently and most important features, which in my project experience, I have used again and again. And that's why I'm showing this to you. But in your hands-on, you will find many more features which are not covered as part of this, but they are also sometimes useful. So please go and explore. Very important. So for the charts, similar to for the tables, for charts also, there are some important functionalities you should be aware about. So let's see what are those. So as we know that charts are used to display data graphically, visually, not in a simple table format, but the different chart format, which is visually appealing. And SAC by default has given us a host of charts, which is like bar chart, line chart, numeric point, your combined bullet ones, time series, heat map, tree map, bubble chart, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of charts, and we also saw that if the chart is not available as part of the out of the box, what is given, then you can write your custom R script or any other script. Usually JavaScript subset, which is TypeScript, that, and of course the R is supported. So you can find that particular chart type from Google or from your requirements, and then you can see if R language gives it, and then we can enable that. Okay. So there are different advanced functionalities also, which will be enabled through the R functionality. For the chart, I want to emphasize on a very important concept called chart scaling. So we have used charts in our customers. In almost every customer, you will use charting functionality. But sometimes the charts themselves can be misleading. And that's where chart scaling will come into picture. So first, let me tell you the problem which the chart scaling solves. And then I will tell you what is chart scaling and how does it solve the problem. Okay. This is the problem. We have two charts side by side. Okay. And let me make it slightly bigger. These two charts are showing two different measures. The left one is showing quantity sold per region, and the right one is showing sales revenue per region. And if you see the height of these charts, these bars, this is a bar chart. So the height of this bar is almost same, right? height of this bar is same as this. Height of this bar is almost same as this. So these are same height bar charts, but they are depicting two different KPIs, two different measures. What are those measures? Quantity sold and sales revenue in this example. But look at the numbers. This bar, although the height is same, this is saying that the number is 888,985,037. Whereas this is $1 billion, 2,663,329. So although the bar height is same, the number is way more here than this number. This is 888 million. This is $2 billion. So definitely this is misleading, because if you don't pay attention to the numbers, just by looking at the height of these bars, you will say that, okay, sales revenue and quantity sold are almost the same based on the bar height, because they are the size wise, the scale wise, it looks exactly or almost the same. A user who is not educated enough or who is not paying close attention can actually deduce a wrong conclusion. And that wrong conclusion can be that my quantity sold and sales revenue have almost the same numbers because the height of the bars are the same, which is wrong. Here it is 888 million. Here it is 2 billion. Here it is 386 million. Here it is 1 billion. Here it is 52 million. Here it is 146. So there is a huge difference between the numbers for quantity sold versus the number for sales revenue. So this is a misleading side-by-side comparison. And this problem is solved by chart scaling. Chart scaling will consider quantity sold and sales revenue, and based on the numbers, it's going to put the correct height, so that just by looking at the scale of these bars, that means the height of these bars, the users do not get confused and they will not deduce that they are almost the same. The quantity sold is same as sales revenue, which is not the case in our scenario. That is what is called chart scaling. So how to enable chart scaling? Let's see that. So as it is shown in the following example, you can see that the columns for quantity sold and sales revenue are same height. However, the numbers are very different. That means it can lead to incorrect conclusions. So this is without the chart scaling. When you enable chart scaling, then the numbers will show like this. Quantity sold is now way lesser than your sales revenue. Now you can deduce that sales revenue numbers are much more than quantity sold, because you have scaled these charts and you have scaled these measures. Actually, technically speaking, you have scaled the measures, because when you do chart scaling, you are basically saying which measures you want to scale on the chart. So you have scaled the measures. That means the charts will show correct height, and now the correct conclusions can be drawn from this comparison. So this is with chart scaling. This is without chart scaling. So there are some important points. Chart scaling is applied to all of the pages in a story. Okay. But the scaling may be different for the same measure on different pages, because the measure, what it is showing, with which context of the dimension that is showing the numbers, that will differ. That's why the scaling factor is calculated separately for each page, which is expected, which is how it should be. Because if the same measure is there on multiple pages, but the dimension is different, then the scaling also be accordingly, the scaling factor has to be accordingly different. So that's what happens automatically. You don't have to do anything special there. But this is just something to note. And you can exclude charts from scaling also. For example, if a chart contains data that is much larger than the data in other charts, then other charts might look smaller than they should. So there is an option. You can also say that, okay, this chart I will exclude from scaling. But chart scaling is a very important functionality for side-by-side comparison. Okay. So let's do the quick practical on that. So if I go back to my particular story, I'm going to just save it. I always press on save. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit finicky there because I don't want to lose, although it is still saved, but I still wanted to do a double check there. So now what I will do is I will create another responsive page. Okay. And this one we will rename it to chart scaling. And then I will enable the left hand side panel because all my widgets are there. And then I will bring in a chart here. Okay. And I don't need this panel anymore. And here, let me put some measures and dimensions. So I'm going to put these are my calculated ones, which we calculated. So I don't want that right now. This is my measure input control. I don't want that right now as well. I will just put order value for now. Okay. And for my, so this is my chart. Okay. And then I will put the orientation as vertical, just to show you the height wise. And then we will put the dimension, which is going to be my, let's say, let me take product. I think we have product there. And because product has the hierarchy, that's why it is showing as all, and you can drill down if you want. But for now, I want a flat presentation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out. So dimension is product. And here in the hierarchy, I'm going to change the hierarchy here. And I'm going to say, just give me flat presentation for now. Okay, so this is my flat presentation. I'm going to make it bigger and a little bit bigger. So this is my order value per product. Okay, so this is my chart. And these are all my products, C19 bikes, C950 bikes, C990 bikes, so on and so forth. And these are my order number values, order value. Okay, great. And you can see the chart scale as well, right? And then what I will do is I will put in another one. So I will copy this, Control C, Control V. Okay. And here, what I'm going to do is one second. So what I'm going to do is, okay, let me change the
Hey,
Sharing is lost.
Sorry?
Sharing is lost.
Sharing has stopped?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Why did I press the wrong button somewhere? First, let me make sure recording is on. Yeah, recording is on. Okay, somehow the sharing was stopped. Sorry about that. Let me share again. How about now? Are you able to see?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I think I might have pressed something which stopped the sharing. Okay, so I'll just repeat what I did in the last 15-20 seconds. So I just copied this into a different chart. That's all. And now I'm trying to change this to some other measure, like for example, maybe units sold, right? So what I'll do is I will change this to units sold. So no calculation. I don't need measure input control. Units sold. And this one I want as per maybe instead of product, I will say customer segment. Let's say no product. I want the product was also okay, but let me check if the customer segment is going to be yes, retail wholesale. And if I make this chart slightly same height, okay, right. So now this will I'll make it slightly smaller. Okay, and I'll put it side by side. Okay, now, so I'll put some borders around it so that we can clearly see that. So let me go and put some borders. So I'll say left border, and this one will have the right border. Okay, come down, border is right border. Okay, so that way we'll have better borders. Okay, so now you see here, we have two types of chart, and both are depicting two different values. One is saying order value per product, and the other one is saying units sold per customer segment. Now, if you see, the chart height is almost the same. If I make this slightly longer, little bit more, yeah. So you see here, so these are on the same level here, and then the chart height is the same, right? In fact, this has very less value, 219,259, but this is $2,283,415. So this is way more, but the chart height is the same. So that means if I make this a little bit bigger, which is bar is going to be thicker, okay? Because this bar is a little thicker, that's why it might be looking different a little bit. So let me make this even bigger. Okay, and yeah. So you look at the chart height. The chart height is almost the same here and here. So if you don't look at the numbers, you can deduce that, okay, my units sold are almost the same as my order value. So that's a wrong deduction. That's a wrong conclusion, because here the number is 2.2 million and here the number is just 219,000. So they do not compare at all with each other. But the bar height is telling the user that they are almost the same. So this bar height is same as this bar height. This is 1.6 million almost, and this is just 150,000. So this is a wrong information which can be deduced. So for this problem to solve, I'm just going to save it. I will do chart scaling. Okay. So chart scaling, how I will do this is, I will go to the three dots, triple dot, and there is an option called chart scaling. So you click on that, and we don't have any chart scaling right now. That's why the values are shown like this. I will add a chart scaling, and I have two things here. The reusable entities, the calculations which I did, and of course directly you can also see from the model. So entities which are your key figures are also separately here, and sales analysis geo. So anything is fine. I'm going to directly, because I'm going to pick the unit sold and the order value directly from the model. These are direct measures. I'm just going to select it from the model, which is going to be my order value and my unit sold. So this is my order value and my unit sold. And I'll say done. Now it is going to compare the two, and based on the numbers, it is going to scale my chart. And now just by looking at the numbers, nobody can get confused that my unit sold is the same as my order value per product. Now it is very, very clear that units sold are way lesser than my actual order value. Anyways, from a business standpoint, nobody is going to compare units sold to order value, right? I mean, the numbers definitely are going to be different, but just by the look and feel, visually, it should also convey the same message. That's where your chart scaling will come into picture, and now it is very, very easily legible. So that is what is called chart scaling. Chart scaling is done between the measures, and this will basically tell the SAC that compare these two measures, and if there's a chart on these two measures, then please scale the chart accordingly, and don't show the bar height just by plain numbers. You have to scale the bar height according to the number. So that's how the chart scaling will solve this particular problem. Just by visually, it should also scale accordingly. Okay, next one. So let's go back to the next option. So now we are clear why chart scaling is important. So this is with the chart scaling, and this was without the chart scaling. As you can see, these numbers now became very less. The bar height has reduced. So that's what is chart scaling. Next is variance in the chart. Variances we have already seen on numeric charts. but I want to show you the variance on the bar chart also. That's also a very important and most frequently used functionality. So if I go back to my particular SAC story, if you see, if you go to the three dots and go to the first page dashboard, you can see that we have already done the variance, and that variance is this in brackets minus 15,286 and here bracket minus 134. This is number of customer meetings. Less number of meetings means good. That's why it is in green color. This is my delta from my 2018. Okay. And here, by the way, to show a correct, a good number, you should always select 1 so that it can clearly go back to the delta and show you. And then units sold accordingly. And then this is what the variance analysis looks like on a numeric chart, not a bar chart, but on a numeric chart. So on the bar chart, it behaves slightly differently. That's why I wanted to show you that. So let's create a new responsive page, and then we will call it chart, variance, and trellis. I'll show you trellis as well. There's a concept called trellis. You should be aware of that. So we'll see both of them in one particular page, in one single page. So I'm going to bring in the chart again here. Okay. And when see, it's taking time. As the pages increase, as your widgets increase, your story will keep getting slower and slower. That's what you have to keep in mind. Okay, so now what I will do is I will do the variance analysis first. So for the variance analysis, what I will do is I will bring in the chart first, of course. So I'll bring in the chart, drag the chart in, and then we will configure again the unit sold for customer segment. Same thing. So measure is your unit sold, and then your dimension is your customer segment. Customer, these are the properties. Segment, I will choose as the property. So this is going to be my variance. No, not variance. This is a simple chart. Sorry, I haven't included variance yet. So this is my unit sold per customer segment in EA. That is a unit. And these are all your values. Okay, great. Now, variance basically, okay, first of all, business scenario. What is variance used for? Variance is used for comparison to previous time frame. So if my unit sold is 150,360 EA for direct customers for all the 3 years, and if you want to just filter for one particular year, that's going to be better for our analysis. So let me filter for 2018. Okay. And then I will go back to my page where it is saying chart, variance, and trellis. Okay. So for 2018, my direct customers, I sold 75,163 units to my direct customers in 2018. I sold 43,000 to retail and 107,000 to wholesale. So that's my unit sold. Now I want to compare this to my previous year. Okay. So how do I do that? That is the variance analysis. So you click on this chart and then you come down to chart add-ons. That's where you will see the variance analysis. So this is an option, variance. And then in this variance, it's asking you A versus B. What do you want to compare with what? So I want to compare whatever measure is there in this chart. I want to compare that measure. If I change that measure, automatically take that into consideration. That is the dynamic behavior I want. So I will not fix it to a particular measure. I'm going to say all measures in use, which is dynamic. Whatever measure, if I change units sold to orders, total order value, then automatically the comparison will also change. So that's why I've chosen all measures in use dynamic. I'm going to add a time dimension here because I want to compare with previous year. So you need a time dimension. So it will ask you for a time dimension or a date, and then we will have the date dimension. Current time interval. Current time interval means whatever I have chosen in my input control, that becomes my current time interval. I want to compare it with all measures again in use dynamic. Again, the date dimension and previous time interval. Again, I'm not fixing it to previous year or quarter or month or day. I'm saying previous time interval because I want to make it dynamic enough. If I choose a particular quarter here, it's going to compare with previous quarter. If I choose year here, it's going to compare with previous year. So that also is dynamic. That's why we choose previous time interval. Okay. And then you can give the name for the baseline. Right now it is previous time interval, which is fine. I'm going to leave it as it is. Now you see we have bars, which is going to show you the delta. This triangle means delta. What does that mean? This means that in 2018, I have 33,115 units more sold compared to 2017. So that means my 2017 units sold should be 75,000 minus 33,000, which should be around 42. So if I go back just to validate that, if I go back and choose 2017 and come back to my page, yes, it is 42,000. And delta, there is blank. Why there is a blank delta? Because there is no data for 2016. Okay, that's why it's blank delta. So I'm going to go back and change it to 2018. Again, come back to my particular page. And now it is showing that you have 33,115 more in 2018 compared to 2017. Same thing for retail, same thing for wholesale. So this is the default way how the variance will show up on the chart. But you can change the look and feel a little bit. Okay. How you can change the look and feel is by going to the styling. And in styling, no, maybe not in styling, sorry. Yeah, here, variance. So in the builder panel itself, now you will see that there is a variance which got created, which we just created. It will come under the variance in the builder panel. If you want to change that, click on the pencil icon. And here, instead of bar, if I want data label, then beside the number, it will show what is my delta. So 33,000 more in 2018 compared to 2017. 18,344 more than compared to 2017. And if you want percentage, you can have percentage as well. It's going to be like this: plus 79%, plus 72%, plus 49%, so on and so forth, right? Or if you want integrated like this is also possible, where it is showing you that you have 33,000 more, but it is integrated, means it is overlaying on top of each other. The bar with a different color and showing you how much extra you did this particular year. That is also possible with integrated. And then finally, we have waterfall as well, which is going to be like this: 33, 18, 35. So it's just another view. So there are 4 views: bar, which is the default. And then we have data label. Sometimes this is more preferred than bars. Sometimes people say that, okay, show me integrated, or we can have waterfall. Waterfall I have seen very less. I mean, it is there. I'm not saying people don't use it, but more frequently it will be either integrated or bar or data label. I personally prefer the data label and percentage, but different client can prefer different aspects. And then you can invert color as well. If it is more, then you show it in red. If it is less, you show it in green. All those you can do as well, so on and so forth. So that is what is your, okay, by the way, if I do bar, see how the percentage will look like. It's just a simple line with 79%, 72%, this, or you do data label, then it is like this. But bar will show a different section where you can see your previous time interval in absolute number and also previous time interval in percentage. Sometimes this is not very user friendly. So usually we go for number only, which is the delta, which will show. And then this is another good way. So this is how you will do variance analysis on a bar chart. Very important. Okay. So I'm going to save this. And then finally, I'm going to cover one more topic today for the charts, which is called trellis. Okay. So variances, we already discussed. Variances in your charts let you show the difference between different measures in a chart different for different version of a measure, or the different between time period for a measure. So there are different types of variances you can have. You can also have variance between different measures. So right now, what I am doing is I am comparing in this variance, I am comparing all measures to all measures. That means whatever measure is chosen here to that particular measure. But you can change the measure here also. If you want to compare two different measures, then also then you can do that. Like for example, the unit sold versus average unit sold. If you want to do that, then it will be according to the average unit sold. Compared to current time interval, previous time interval, here also you can change number of customer meetings, order value. So it will change based on the different measures you choose. Of course, it has to make business sense. But usually what I have seen is the same measure. See, the business scenario, a very valid business scenario for this is that you have different versions, actual versus budget or actual versus forecast. So what you will do is you will say, give me the order value instead of date. Okay, you will actually say version. So you will remove this, and then instead of date, you will choose version. And for one, it will be actual version, and date you can remove. And then the second one, again the same order value. And here, version will be forecast or budget or plan or whatever you want. So that's one of the valid business scenarios where you can do your delta analysis, that how is your actual comparing to your budget, or how is your actual comparing to your plan, or how is your plan comparing to your budget, so on and so forth. So that is one of the valid business scenarios for our variance on the chart. So I'm going to go back, undo, so that it comes to the same what we were doing. Okay, all measures and all measures. Okay, perfect. So it's back to its state. So I'm going to save it. So that is what is your variance. Next and final topic for today is trellis. Before trellis, let's look at some notes. You can also create a dynamic variance, a variance that is based on the measures in the chart context. Yes, this is what we did. All measures in use, dynamic. I didn't fix it to a particular measure. So that's what it's mentioning. To include time in your variance, you must have a date dimension. The reason I was able to compare current time interval with previous time interval is because I have date dimension. If you don't have date dimension, then you will not be able to do the time interval analysis. When using models from live data connection, important point here, you must include version information with your measures, and your measures must be in the base chart. Okay. So what does this mean? This means that in import data connection, you can have the variance between two measures, even if that measure is not there in the base chart. You can still do the variance analysis. But if it's a live data connection, then two things are mandatory. First, you have to include version information with your measure, right? So where I was giving date, you have to give version there as mandatory. And second is your measure which you are comparing should be in the base chart. So that means what it says is, what is the measure right now in the base chart? Unit sold. So your variance should be connected to unit sold. You cannot have an independent measure which is not there in your base chart and do the variance analysis for live connection. For import data, it is possible, but for live data connection, it is not possible. So that's what, there are some limitations there. Okay. Now the final concept of the chart, which is trellis add-on. So you will hear, this is also again in the add-on section, chart add-on section. And what does that do? If you see this diagram, right now we have a chart where we have gross sales per product. Let me make it bigger. Gross sales per product. So that means athletic shirts, $243 in million, by the way, $243 million. Athletic shorts, 15,139 million. caps this much, tennis shoes this much, running shoes this much. So these are all my products and these are my gross sales in $1 million US dollars. If I want to add another dimension to this chart, then I can easily do that with Trellis. What Trellis does is, so Trellis I have added as entity. Trellis is connected to entity. That means this particular chart will now repeat for every entity. So that means these athletic shirts, athletic shorts, caps, tennis shoes, all these products are going to be repeated for every entity. And what are the entities we have? East US, West US, Asia Pacific, and EMEA. So these are my entities. For every entity, for East US, all my products and the chart. For West US, all my products with the chart. So this chart is getting repeated for every member of the trellis. I'm repeating this. Please pay attention. The trellis dimension, whatever you add, so the chart will repeat for every member of that trellis dimension. And how many members in this example has? 4 members. US East, US West, Asia Pacific, EMEA. So for 4 times the chart will repeat. That is what is trellis, and sometimes this is also very helpful. Okay, so we'll quickly create trellis. So if I go back, I'm gonna duplicate this chart. Okay, Control C, white space, Control V. So this is duplicated. Okay. Now, please pay attention here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first remove this variance because variance already is there. So we will remove the variance from here. Okay, that's point number 1. So that we have a clear chart. And then what we will do is we are going to, so this is units sold per customer segment. Okay. And I'm going to change this orientation to vertical. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one more dimension. Now, there are 2 ways to add a dimension. First way is go directly to the dimension and add here. Okay, like for example, product type. So if I want to add product type, this is how it will showcase. So units sold per customer segment and product type. So this is one way where we have mountain direct racing, mountain retail racing, mountain wholesale racing. So this is my per customer segment, which is direct, retail, and wholesale. This is one way. Or you can also do this with trellis. So you can remove this from here and then add a chart add-on and then add something called trellis. This will add a trellis here and then add a dimension, and this is where I will say product type now. So now what happened? The chart got repeated. For now, this is a different format or layout than adding it in the dimension. In the dimension, it basically both were showing below. So for each, for direct, it had mountain racing, for retail mountain racing. But with trellis, it's a slightly different way by saying repeat the chart. So for mountain, all the 3 different customer segment is repeated. For racing, again, the chart is repeated. We have 2 members of this trellis dimension. Product type is a trellis dimension. We have 2 members, mountain and racing. That's why this chart is repeated twice. If we would have 5 members, then you would see 5 of them. If I go back and change the trellis dimension here, okay. So I'm going to remove this and add another dimension. Say for example, let's see, we have customer status. Okay. So see what happened. How many members are there for customer status dimension? 3. current customer, prior customer, prospective customer. So the chart also got repeated 3 times for current customer, for prior customer, for prospective customer. How do you know this is for prior, this is for current? So the first chart on top of that particular trellis dimension member will be listed. So it will start from here. Prospective starts from here, current starts from here. So this is what is trellis dimension type, which is also sometimes very, very handy because this is another way to showcase your different charting for the trellis. Now this if I would have added in the dimension directly, then it will be a different format as we saw. Again, please be careful. Don't add a dimension which has too many members because it will become then unusable. The chart will be useless. So if I remove this customer status, for example, and if I add, say, for example, country. Imagine how many countries are there. See what's happened. So I have so many countries. So now the chart is getting repeated for every country. You have to make it bigger. As you can see, the chart is now repeating for every customer and the values are very, very low, 97, 671. That's why the bars are also almost negligible. So you see, every country, the chart is repeated. Here at least we have some value, 3000. That's why the bar is showing here. But a bar is not showing here because it is very, very, very small. So trellis also is usable only when you use it properly, wisely, and don't go for a dimension which has too many members. Keep it to a dimension which has less number of members so that business wise it makes sense. So I'm going to remove this dimension and say for example we do date. Okay, so date also again it's going to be all, and then you can drill down or drill up based on that. So if I do this, there's a drill down option, drill down on date. So it will be like this. Then you again drill down on date. So date also we have year, month. So this is my 2018 Q1, Q2, Q3. This is good. This is usable. But if you go further down, so if you do further down, then we are going for January, February, March, etc. So that's why it will become difficult to read. So that's why I'm saying that use the trellis dimension judiciously so that it is usable and not useless. So this is fine. At a quarter level, it's fine. But still, if you go further down, month, day level, then it will become useless. So that's what trellis dimension is for. So I'm going to remove date for now. And then I'm going to add back our product type, which was a much better dimension to add to the trellis, mountain and racing. And you can also add status also, that's fine. So this is what is trellis used for. These two functionalities I have been using a lot in my customer product. That's why this is important for you to understand. And then this is how you can do your charting and all. Finally, before ending today's session, and if time permits, taking some Q&A as well at the end, I want to show you a little bit on GeoMaps. So let's quickly go back to our, okay, let me create a new responsive page. We'll copy the GeoMap. And I just want to show you some important features on the GeoMap. And then that's where we'll stop. Okay, so let me go to dashboard. I know today it is a lot of content and I'm a little bit rushing. Again, I'm sorry about that. But the thing is that if I don't cover this, then it will be a problem for me because I will not be able to cover the planning, which is the main topic. And next week we have to start planning. Okay, so I'm going to copy this over. So did I create a new page? Let me see. Yeah, I did. So let me rename it first, okay, so that I easily identify that. So I'll edit the title. I will say GeoMaps, and then I will go back to my dashboard, and then I will click on this 3 dots, copy to which page? GeoMaps. Okay, so the map is copied. I'm going to make it bigger so that we can easily see the functionalities on the GeoMap. All right. So there are some important functionalities you should be aware of on GeoMaps. First of all, you can drag the maps on different areas and then it will show you the different sections, like different countries here. In our case, the countries. So first feature you should use is drag, left, right, up and down. You can easily drag. And then of course, data will be shown wherever the region you are looking at, whatever region you're looking at. Second option is your zoom in and zoom out. And you can see those options here. This is zoom in. So zooming in, further zooming in. And then double click on this, that also zooms it in. Double clicking zooms it in. And then you can go back to the last saved. So if you want to go back to the previous status, then click on this which says return to last saved. So this is an option to go back. This is the way to go back. Now, if I want to just look at only this region, okay, I want to filter on this region. Okay, I don't want to individually filter on Canada or United States or Bermuda or Haiti or Venezuela, Panama. I want to filter on this area. So if you have a filter requirement based on area where you have to select, then you have to go for polygon filter. Polygon filter has three types: the polygon, the circle, and the square. So if I use square, which is for me, it is right now suitable, I'm going to draw this area and then I will say filter on this area. So it is going to just filter on this and it will show me the data for this particular region. And then again, if you want to go back, return to last save, and then you click on this and remove the filter. That will bring back all the other countries also. Again, dragging it here. So these are certain functionalities. So polygon filter you can use. If you have a complex like you, it's not a circular, or if it's not a circle, you want something complex, then you can use polygon here also, like this, and then say filter. So there are different ways to filter on specific areas, and then click back on it and then remove the filter and everything is back. So those are some good to know the navigation functionalities on GeoMaps. Then you also have something called zoom to data. So this will basically zoom in to your data, wherever the data is there, then it will zoom into the data. That means wherever the density of data is more, it will go there and it will show you. And then return to last saved. So this is my last save. And then you can have different regions or different layers on the map. Okay. So now I have showed you the basic navigation, drag and drop, drag, zoom in, zoom out, the polygon filter to filter on specific areas, and then return back to the original last saved state. Now, if I want to change the background of the map, then it's possible to do so. So you have to again go back to the designer panel, and you will see here for a map, we have two types of layer. Okay, content layer and base layer. Base layer defines what is the background of this particular map. Right now it is light gray. If I want to change it, I have all these functionalities. So if I want a dark gray, so a dark gray background will come, which will accentuate these different bubbles. But if you don't like that, you can change it to satellite image. I want a satellite image and then show me these values. And of course, you can change the color of this bubble because on this satellite image, this color is not very visible. So if I want to change the color, so I will go to content filter, unit sold. I will click on the edit icon and then we have the bubble color. So click on this, it's going to expand the color palette and choose a lighter color palette, maybe this one, which is going to easily show you the bubbles, or any other color which is, easy to see. on the chart, on the map, whatever you're doing. So this is how you change the background map, which is the base layer. See, always remember that there are two layers. The first layer is your base layer, and then you have the data layer, which we also call content layer. That means the actual data on that map. Again, I'm going back. This is not a good for me for now. Maybe street view. You can also have a street view where you can zoom in and it will go all the way to the down to the street level. That's also possible. Or if you want to do nighttime street terrain, maybe we'll do terrain. So there it is a terrain specific, so on and so forth. So basically these are different ways. Oceans, you want to look at ocean and then see that what are the density of my data on the different oceans. That also you can do very easily. And if you want to hide the background, you don't want to see any background, then you can hide the base layer. Suppose you want to work on the data and these bubbles and everything, and the background is distracting you. You're not able to properly work with the data set here. So if you want to just work with the data set, you can work with the data set by hiding it. And once you are done with the bubble color, size, etc., and you're good to get back the background, then you do that. So show the background, and then so on and so forth. So I will go back to the light gray which we were using, okay, and then we will go to content layer. Right now it is units sold, and you can hide the content layer also. Just like how you can hide the base layer, you can also hide the content layer. And once your map is finalized, which background you need, then you can unhide. That means show the data layer, the content layer. The data and content layer are one and the same thing. I'm just using two different terminologies here. And then you can add further layers. So you can add multiple layers. Right now the layer is units sold. You can also add a layer for, say, for example, number of customer meetings. Okay, and then location dimension it needs for sure. So country, and then bubble color will be your customer meetings. So I will choose my customer meetings, number of customer meetings here, and that's going to be a different color. Again, you see, not very user friendly. Again, this is a little bit confusing. So please add these layers judiciously and then choose the color palette properly by clicking on it. Clicking and unclicking will expand and minimize, and then you can choose the color palette here. I will choose this one. This is slightly better, so on and so forth. Opacity and all those things you can choose. So you can have multiple layers also, right? So right now I will remove this the second layer, and I'll just keep one which is a good one. And then the another feature what I want to show you is the type of the different layers you can have on the content. So here in the unit sold, right now the type is bubble, but you can have three different types. One is bubble, the other one is heat map. So you can go here and choose the heat map, which is going to be the heat signature of your different data. So whichever has more data will be more heat, bigger area for the heat, and the ones with smaller will be smaller areas. And again, you can change the color and our heat map color. Right now it is red shade. I don't want this. I want the original one. So you can have the blue shade, so on and so forth. The third one is called choropleth or choropleth. I mean, different people call it differently. The spelling, if you see, choropleth, choropleth or choropleth, whatever you want to call, and that is also called drill down enabled. This bubble and heat map are not drill down enabled, but choropleth drill is drill down enabled. So if you click on this, and you can say style is either shape or you can have bubble, both. Style can be either your shape, that means it will fill that particular shape. Or if you want bubble, then it will show bubble accordingly. So different people prefer differently. So if you go to shape, it's going to fill up that particular shape on the area for that particular country with different colors. And that color is your order value. Okay. So the lighter the color, the lower the order value, the darker the color, and the different the color, then it will be the higher value. So that's what your chloropleth color. And if you see now, you say done. Now, if you hover over the content layer, you will see something called a hierarchy here, which was not there when I chose bubble layer. Okay, so let me go and choose the bubble layer. Okay, it's taking a few seconds. Let's give it a few seconds. Bubble size, I will get back here. Here it was unit sold. So unit sold. Okay. So this bubble content layer doesn't have hierarchy. Hover over it, it does not have hierarchy. Same thing for the other content layer type, which is your heat map. So if you do heat map here, click on done and hover over it, no hierarchy. But if you go to your chloropleth/drill and say, okay, now you have a hierarchy. What is this hierarchy? The chloropleth drill layer, the drill layer type, basically gives you automatically, it gives you ESRI driven regions and sub-regions. See, this map is provided by the collaboration of 3 different companies. ESRI, the main map provider. Then you have HERE, another third-party company which provides mapping functionality. It has great collaboration with ESRI. And then Garmin is also another company who is having functionalities of maps. And then it has collaboration with ESRI and here. So these 3 companies together has a collaboration with SAP. And SAP is actually taking those maps and layers and all those features and functionality from ESRI and here and Garmin. And that's how it is giving you these geo maps. So ESRI has basically divided the global map into regions and sub-regions. And those regions and sub-regions are the hierarchy nodes, which automatically gets enabled for a chloropleth/drill layer, not for heat map, not for bubble. So you can make use of that with the chloropleth/drill option. So if I go back to this, how do you see the hierarchy and its nodes? So if I go back and then hover over this content layer unit sold, click on this hierarchy, you will see that you have different layers. This I did not give, and this is not coming from any model. I did not create any hierarchy on my country. The only thing which I did was I added latitude and longitude, and I gave those as special type of properties, which are your latitude property and longitude property, which enabled the country to be a location dimension. But these different regions, sub-region 1, sub-region 2, they are automatically given to us for a chloropleth/drill layer, and you can make use of this. So say for example, I see country geopoint is by default there. It is the last leaf layer, so you cannot disable that. That is by default there. It has to be there mandatorily. But these you can disable. So if I don't want to see the country region, I don't want to see sub-region 1, sub-region 2. I just want to see region and then the country geopoint, and then you click on save. And what it will do is now it will be only those regions will be highlighted to you that the region ESRI provides. And those regions are, if you click on it, it will show you this is my Siberian Federal District. This is my Kwarang di Oblisi. This is my Agadez. This is my some other, okay, this is Scotland region. So those are different regions where my different countries are segregated with, and then you can drill into this and you can say that I want to drill down into the next level. and that next level will be given to you on the map, which is Russia for here, right? And then you can say, I want to drill up to my region, and then that region will be shown to you. So basically, this hierarchy of drill up and drill down based on your sub-region, sub-region 1 and your region is enabled for Choropleth/drill content layer. So that is one functionality which is given here for drill up and drill down. So that's what I wanted to show you. So these all different functionalities, layers, different content layers, your base layer where you will define your background, what is your background, and then you will define your Choropleth versus bubble versus heat, whatever you need, different color combinations you can use, color palettes you can use, so on and so forth. And then if you want to go back, so you can go back to your original. Of course, the region will be there. So I will again go back to my hierarchy and enable all the regions, sub-region 1, sub-region 2, and you can give custom label here also. And I will save it. And I'm back to my Choropleth/drill. And then, of course, you can do all your basic functionalities there. Okay, I'm going to save this. Again, there are many more features which I might not have explored or touched upon. Even for GeoMaps, there are a lot of features. So please go and do some hands-on. Play around with these content layers versus base layer versus the size of the bubble, the heat map, the color palette, all those. You can put some filters also, and you can do linked analysis as well. Linked analysis is also possible on the maps.